That jingle apparently triggers dogs worldwide whenever we play it.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, August 2nd, 2018. This is your award-winning Gimmo Nation Media Assassination, episode 1056.
This is No Agenda.
Full steam ahead with Q Vision and broadcasting live from the capital of the Drone Star State here in downtown Austin, Tejas, in the Cludio. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I've got the recorder back, good news for everybody. I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Yes, children around the globe are rejoicing. Woohoo! It's back. Thank goodness. Yep. Would you have it repaired finally? So now it sounds great?
Yeah, I took it to the recorder repair company.
Ah, yes.
The local one, because they're all over the place.
Yeah, of course.
And had them take a look at it. So here it is. Perfect.
Yes. I'm glad it's in good working order. Before we get into anything, a big thank you coming to us from Andromeda in Norway. Huh? Thank you, Adam and John. The rain has finally come to Norway, and it has been marvelous.
Good.
It rained cats and dogs on the coast. On the southeast, it wasn't enough to remove the danger of fires, but enough to freshen up the landscape and people's minds. Most importantly, your rainstick performance has pushed the high-pressure mass that's been stuck over Norway since the spring, so the low-pressure mass could finally move in with all the good moisture from the ocean. So we're getting back to normal. Mediocre weather with max temps 25, semi-cloudy, and I never thought I'd be glad for that. There are even some power plants back in production, so hopefully the electricity bill won't kill us too much. Forest fires are still going on due to thunderstorms and the dry vegetation being lit by lightning in the south, but since the sun is not grilling 24/7 and the fall is almost here, I assume we can call the weather crisis over. Once again, the power of the sticks proven on the No Agenda show.
We're just a public service company.
There is one other thing that's helped, I believe. One of the engineers who works at HARP. We haven't talked about HARP in years. The high...
They shut it down.
Yeah, no, that's not true. It's on and off all the time.
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, the engineer who works at HARP, one of the HARP stations, just said, everybody, as of August 2nd, 0048 UTC time, HARP is off until the fall campaign. Thanks for tuning in, tweeting, reporting, and all that fun stuff for science. You think there might be a coincidence between the heat we've been seeing and the HARP being on?
My understanding was they shut it down years ago.
No, there's just one. They shut down one station.
Oh.
The whole HARP system is still functioning. But
it's
watch.
Possible.
But
Why
watch.
not? That's what the whole thing is about, is an experiment.
I mean, if Norway, all of a sudden, things changed, the low pressure, the high pressure, changed. I mean, that could be all kinds of atmospheric things that do that, including HARP. A big radio transmitter beaming into the ionosphere. What could possibly go wrong? Seems like a fine idea to me.
Yeah, it would.
But let's start with a local story.
Oh, you have a local story?
Yes.
Is it that they're actually going to change the name of Austin?
To Shithole. That's right. Shithole, Texas. No, the ghost gun is back, everybody. It was several...
I got plenty of ghost gun stories, too.
Well, I have a little array set up here. First, let's listen to how the ghost gun story, which is a very non-story in my opinion, but we'll get to that.
It's a total scam story. This nonsense.
And it's being used, of course, to discredit Trump.
Starting tomorrow.
This is Chuck Schumer.
Tomorrow, as you know, you'll just need a little money and download a blueprint to make a gun at home undetectable by metal detectors.
Oh.
Already the damage has been done. According to the New York Post, already more than 1,000 people have downloaded plans to make AR-style 3D printed guns, and the ban hasn't been lifted yet. The idea of these print-on-command ghost guns is every bit as scary as it sounds.
Love that. Print-on-demand ghost guns. Well done, Chucky.
We should be doing everything in our power to make sure it doesn't happen. On issue after issue, the Trump administration's MO when there's a crisis is to say, we'll look into it, working with the NRA, and then nothing happens. Sure as we're here today, nothing is going to happen from this administration. We're going to have to pass legislation because they are just enslaved by the NRA.
Enslaved
when
by
the NRA says jump, they say how high.
Oh, yes.
And the fact that the president said, the first time this comes about, he tweets about it, he says, I'm going to consult with the NRA. That shakes every American's confidence that he really wants to do something.
Oh, how's your confidence feeling? Shaken?
Well, there's one thing about Schumer and this comment, which was also used in the reports on NBC and CBS, Schumer jumping in, is that smart money comes out and discusses this. The NRA doesn't want a bunch of people printing their own guns. They represent the gun lobby, people who sell guns.
Yes. Well, let's just make a statement right up front. It is not illegal to publish anything of this sort. You can go to the library and you can go get a book on how to build a bomb, how to assemble a gun at home. That's a First Amendment issue. You cannot restrict words. It's dangerous to restrict because code is just words. It's just a bunch of characters. It's unrestrictable thanks to the First Amendment. In my opinion, I'm not the only one, but let's get a little background from NPR, who, in fact, have a nice little kicker at the end of this.
This all started back in 2013 when Wilson made his first 3D printed gun. It was a single-shot pistol, mostly plastic with a few metal parts purchased at a hardware store. He called it the Liberator. Then he put the plans on the internet. Soon, the State Department told him he needed permission from the government to post those files because of international arms export rules. So he took the files down and then sued the government.
Part of the issue in this case is the question of whether a computer file can be speech that's protected under the First Amendment.
Kit Walsh is an attorney at the Electronic Frontier Foundation, a nonprofit focused on civil liberties online. Walsh argues computer code is no different than a recipe.
Traditionally, under the First Amendment, we don't keep people from talking about things just because they might be used in an illegal way.
The case wound its way through the courts. Gun control groups weighed in.
We have laws to keep guns out of the wrong hands and to require background checks when you buy guns at gun stores.
Jonathan Lowy is with the Brady Center to Prevent Gun Violence.
That can be completely undercut if somebody can simply buy a 3D printer and crank out an AK-47 or AR-15 in their basement.
Yeah, right.
After 3 years of legal wrangling, something unexpected happened. The government agreed to a deal with Defense Distributed and would allow Cody Wilson to publish the gun designs online. And now he's done just that.
Do you understand why this all makes people uncomfortable?
I do, but sometimes it's uncomfortable to be responsible or, move into a new age of technological possibility. I suppose then people's feelings are kind of beside the point.
Keep in mind, it's always been legal to make your own guns at home. All you need is the right equipment and skills. What Wilson's doing is nothing new. He's just brought it into the 21st century.
Yeah, it's not illegal to do that either. But this is just being hyped up for political means.
Well, it's weak.
Incredibly weak. You want to hear Judge Napolitano? He's always...
Well, I mean, if it's always about the First Amendment and all that, I don't. I just think we should make it clear that these guns, they don't work. They're only pieces of the gun. You still have to buy barrels and other. They're not going to make a plastic barrel.
I think actually the barrel is plastic, but it doesn't matter.
No,
it doesn't matter.
But these guns are junk. If you made one, you're lucky if it doesn't blow up in your hand. It's a dangerous product.
Yes, but even if it worked perfectly, it doesn't make any difference.
No, I agree with that. And someday it probably will work perfectly. And you're right. But you could always make guns at home if you have the equipment. So what difference does it make? What's new?
No, there's nothing new. The only thing that's new is that the plans. So you don't have to have any skill to build it at home. Now you just need a printer. You can build it at home. Building at home is not illegal.
You need enough skill to put the code in the printer. I mean, it's not like you don't have. It doesn't download and all of a sudden the little pieces start popping out.
But even then, it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. The whole thing is a specious argument for political means, and it wouldn't even have hit the radar probably if it weren't for, everyone being on the lookout for something to grab Trump with, and then Schumer comes out and says, we didn't finish that part of the clip, but he said, Trump wants illegals, people come into the country illegal, and if they slip in, then they can get a gun. Just shut up.
Yeah, no, an illegal can come in and then take his, he's coming across the border with his $10,000 printer that can make these things. Your little bitty desktop one's not going to do it. The illegal brings his printer and prints a gun. Come on, this whole thing. You're right. It's specious. It's bull crap. The arguments are counterintuitive. The NRA doesn't like these things. As Schumer's on the wrong side of that argument too. Everything about this, it smacks of some public relations operation to me.
Interesting. Well,
Everybody played this. They had it on Good Morning America. They had it on NBC. Had a whole special on it with Lester Holt. And
right, but what was the conclusion? Trump. In every single one of them, conclusion was Trump.
Well, they didn't conclude it was Trump. They had Trump as partial. If you listen to here's the NBC report, I don't think it's too long, and you can hear the Trump blame is in the middle with the Schumer sub clip.
Let's turn now to a late development in the race to stop what some fear is the next gun threat. Plastic weapons, 3D knockoffs, lethal, homemade, and hard to detect.
And by the way, we could pull up every single one of these ghost gun reports from several years ago. It's exactly the same. It's not like this new information.
The technology is accessible, and so are the guns. And tonight, a federal judge has just blocked the release of blueprints for the guns after several states took legal action to stop their release. NBC's Tom Costello has late details.
They almost look like plastic toys, but experts insist so-called ghost guns can be very lethal. 9 state attorneys general and Senate Democrats have tried to block this man, Cody Wilson, from posting free 3D printer instructions online. Late today, a federal judge agreed to an injunction.
Make no mistake about it. This is the doing of the Trump administration. This is part of a long pattern of letting the gun lobby get whatever they want.
Yeah, Trump. That's what it's being used for. Guns. We're back to guns. What's in report 2?
Well, then it gets worse. Now they start bringing the experts in, including a dad of one of the Parkland shooters.
Good. This morning, President Trump tweeted, I am looking into 3D plastic guns being sold to the public. Already spoke to the NRA. Doesn't seem to make much sense. But it was the Trump administration that agreed Cody Wilson could post the instructions.
As long as you have the right to keep and bear arms, you have the right to make them.
After the Obama administration had sued to block him.
This changes the safety of Americans forever if this is allowed to happen.
Fred Guttenberg's 14-year-old daughter, Jamie, was one of 17 people killed in Parkland, Florida in February. Plastic guns, he fears, will mean even more senseless killings.
Now every American on the homeland is at risk. Terrorists, they want to home-produce guns now on this land? They can't.
But Cody Wilson and gun enthusiasts claim they have First and Second Amendment protections.
No, gun control is not dead. It's undead. Gun control is undead.
And various 3D instructions are online anyway. Meanwhile, the TSA has already confiscated 4 3D guns at airports since 2016.
It's a killer's dream. It's a hitman's dream. It's a terrorist's dream. A hijacker's dream. Somebody who wants to hurt you can make their own gun.
Well, this is interesting.
By the way, I have the Dream Come True ISO because I think it was that good, that guy at the end.
Let me have a listen.
It's a terrorist's dream, a hijacker's dream. Somebody who wants to hurt you can make their own gun.
That's pretty good. Contender. Well, contender. We'll see how the show goes. It's a contender for sure. But so you triggered something by saying some kind of PR operation. Wow. I happen to have a clip that could be that very thing.
This brand new 3D CT scanner at the American Airlines terminal at New York's JFK Airport can see through just about anything in a carry-on bag to spot a potential threat. Here's what a TSA screener sees now from the current generation X-ray machines. Look closely. Can you spot the knife?
And now that's why TSA asks you to remove your laptop, for this reason. But using your finger, just manipulate it around, and there it is.
Oh, wow. That's the view from the new analogic scanner going into JFK. The manufacturer gave us a first look last year. They work like a CT machine in a hospital, seeing through even a cluttered bag, and gives screeners the ability to zoom in and rotate the bag for a 360-degree view. American Airlines donated 8 of the roughly $300,000 scanners to TSA, including the one at JFK.
We think in perhaps 5 years or so, the passengers won't have to take anything out of their carry-on bags.
TSA Administrator David Pekoski calls the technology revolutionary.
What they're capable of doing is detecting a wider range of explosives, which is very important, and then a much lower weight of explosives. They're just much better at detection, so you really get better security faster, essentially.
The TSA plans to have 15 deployed to these airports by the end of the year and are authorized to buy up to 240 in 2019. They'll need about 2,000 to cover every airport checkpoint in the country. Jose Frieg is American Airlines head of security.
Just getting to that point that in a non-pre-check lane, you're able to keep your liquids, gels, aerosols, and laptops and electronics in your bags. It's a new era, if you will, and we're really excited about it.
The TSA has tested this technology at airports in Phoenix and Boston and found it does speed up the lines because there are fewer secondary bag searches. Congress is pushing TSA to get this technology out there as fast as possible, but realistically, to replace every X-ray machine at every airport in the U.S. is going to take years.
Now, who would have access to knowledge that this trial has, that there was a new judgment and the guy, Cody Wilson here in Austin wanted to publish the plans and he was going to publish it and held back and now he could do it again. The inside guys, DHS guys, former DHS guys who are selling these scanners. I think that's your PR push. We don't know for sure yet, but they'd have to do it this week.
This is good. It makes sense.
They're looking for money.
It's a coincidence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know where that is. We haven't used that in a long time. But yes, it's beyond a coincidence. They're looking for more money in Congress as we speak. So besides a handy little thing to throw at Trump, colluding with the NRA, whatever it is today, maybe that's, these things will clearly see a gun, a printed gun as well. It's not going to,
Oh, yeah.
Metal detectors may not detect the amount of metal that's in the gun, but these scanners.
Before you continue, I was listening to some reports that I didn't clip that were on the radio, and they were talking about how metal detectors can't detect these guns, but other devices can, and the TSA is. It's possible that it may just be about this scanner. Because that's an expensive guy. It's $300,000.
Yeah. And they
need 2,000
of them. Yeah.
Jeez.
Quick back of the envelope. That's several $100 million as far as I can tell. Sounds like a bonanza to me. Yeah. So perfect.
That would make sense.
So we'll just keep our eye on it, see if we're right.
So let's just scare the public unnecessarily so we can push some crap through.
Yep.
So our security theater can be improved and somebody can make a potload of money.
Yeah.
On the taxpayer's back. Okay.
I picked a good week to dive into the rabbit hole.
What rabbit hole?
2 of them, actually. But the first one was Q.
And I have a Q clip.
I noticed that. I have some things to say about it. Let's play your clip.
Well, good. Let me play this clip, and then you can go off the deep end.
All right.
And now, this clip, I just randomly picked it because it was on. I was looking. I said, "What? Who cares? This is dumb." Because there is a group of 17 Democrats, but apparently there's more to it than that.
He has his people at his rally that look for the number 17 as signs of truth. Q is the 17th letter in the alphabet. Not that helps make any sense of its significance to them. And they see Trump tweeting something like this: 17 angry Democrats. They take value in the number 17, a potential sign. I hope he didn't use that number for them. He hasn't always used the number 17.
Yeah, so what happened?
By the way, that was CNN in their fine reporting.
Yes. Yeah. So here's what happened. And I saw this when Trump did his most recent rally for Ron DeSantis. Right there covering the pool video shot was a sign, QAnon, RIP Seth Rich. And it was on screen like for minutes at a time, and people walking around with Q signs, people at the side of the road, Q, and everybody jumped on it. Every mainstream outlet jumped on this. And with interesting takes, but what I thought was, and I was going to do a wrap up. That's what I was planning. I started looking Sunday because I'm always happy to revisit something that I've said, screw that, I don't think it's anything. And I've been very skeptical about the whole Q business. So I decided to go in again and keep reading. And I watched more, deconstruction videos on YouTube. And I just went on and on. But the report on PBS, on the NewsHour, from whoever this guy is, this reporter, I would say sums it up perfectly.
For more on this conspiracy theory and how it's spread, I'm joined by the NewsHour's PJ Tobia, who's been following this. PJ, first of all, what is QAnon?
So this all started last fall on 4chan, which is an anonymous online message board. And last fall, a user calling himself QAnon began posting little nuggets of information. Q is actually a reference to the Q clearance. It's one of the highest security clearances in the U.S. government. Q claims to be highly placed in the government and has visibility into a kind of conspiracy of globalists, a permanent criminal government that's been running the U.S. government for decades. This, of course, includes the Clintons, the Obamas, the financier George Soros, and many, many others. The conspiracy goes on to posit that President Trump will team up with the U.S. military and crush this cabal by throwing them all in jail, starting with Hillary Clinton.
Do they have any evidence that this is going on, that the Obamas, the Clintons are trying to overthrow President Trump?
So what they're claiming as evidence are Q's posts on 4chan, and then it migrated to another board called 8chan. And these are these cryptic little, he calls them breadcrumbs, because that's really what they are. And they're little clues, watch for this, look for that. And people take them and unpack these breadcrumbs and read into it kind of what they will. And things like President Trump's tweets, where it's well known that he misspells things occasionally or maybe uses improper grammar. He says those are actually clues, part of the president actions that the president is about to take to crush this cabal.
So who's on board with this? Who are the people who are following this? We know there were people at this rally last night in Tampa that were wearing T-shirts or holding signs saying QAnon. Who are these folks? Do we have any idea, or how many of them?
When it comes to conspiracy theories or a lot of fringe groups on the right or the left, it's really hard to quantify and get numbers. But YouTube pages where QAnon's breadcrumbs are unpacked and discussed have hundreds of thousands of hits. Twitter accounts dedicated to this have tens of thousands of hits. So there's a lot of folks who are engaging in this content online. Now, some people who are experts who watch conspiracy theories and conspiracy groups say it's probably not nearly the number of people who say believe that the moon landing was fake or that they're a conspiracy about the JFK assassination. But still, some prominent celebrity Trump supporters, like former Boston Red Sox pitcher Curt Schilling and Roseanne Barr, have tweeted and said things positively about the QAnon conspiracy.
So, PJ, where does this go from here? Do authorities watch this kind of thing? There's nothing illegal about it, is there?
No, there's nothing illegal about it at all. I mean, they're just talking on social media. But as these people start appearing in the real world, I think we're all going to be watching them much closely. Look, the bottom line about this conspiracy theory is that it's a conspiracy to protect Trump. So things that to the rest of us might seem like bad news for Trump, like the Mueller investigation, they look at as actually part of Trump's grand strategy. You see, he was colluding with, he wanted to make it look like he was colluding with Russia on purpose so that Robert Mueller would be hired and he could team up with Trump, Mueller and Trump, teaming up together to investigate the Clintons and the rest of the deep state and their global pedophile sex ring.
So that takes a lot of thinking to get that far.
And a lot of talking. They spill a lot of digital ink online about this stuff.
Now, if I had to do a summary of Q to date, I could not have done a better job. I think you really got everything in there, right down to the pedophiles who eat children. In the Clinton cabal. Now,
I like Judy's take on the whole thing. She goes, I think it takes a lot of thinking.
That takes a lot of thinking. But when you listen to this, actually, I found it handy. I had Jay put your box under your chaise lounge there. If you can grab them. I put your Q Vision glasses in there.
Oh, yeah. Well, here they are. Here, I'm putting them on now. Whoa.
Okay. Hold on. Let me put mine on for a second. helps a little bit. There we go. Q-Vision. So now, when you take a look at things, you see them through Q-Vision. Different eyes, and let's just take a look at a couple scenarios. The first one is Jeff Sessions.
Hold on a second.
What?
The Zephyr's painted blue
Oh,
now.
no! Does it say obey on the side?
No, it doesn't. Thank goodness.
So, and I'm just pulling up a few things that I've learned that people in the Q movement are obsessed about. And if you look at it through the Q-Vision glasses, which we're wearing right now, you may be able to see this in a different light. So, why has Trump not replaced Jeff Sessions? Ever since the guy recused himself, which was right when he was in there, I'm Attorney General, I recused myself from the Russia investigation. With the Q-Vision glasses, now we can see the reason that he has done that, and the reason why Trump continuously harps on him, and to a degree that we have Saturday Night Live skits about it, about Sessions, the nut job. Trump hates him. It's all horrible. Trump, when he doesn't like somebody or the guy's not performing, he's gone. Rex Tillerson, I don't like what you're doing. You talking shit about me, you're gone. He fires everybody very quickly, in and out. If you're no good, you're gone. Why is he continuing to have this feud with Jeff Sessions? Because when the swamp is going to be drained and all the indictments come and they arrest 100 people in the middle of the night all in one go, then they at least cannot say Trump ordered that to happen. So that's one. What's happening right now with this Manafort case is through the Q-Vision glasses, we can see this is not about Trump. This is not about collusion. Of course, with the glasses, we see that Robert Mueller, who in the eyes of the Qs was complicit in 9/11 and many other crimes after that, many other global crimes. He was so involved in this criminal cabal, specifically with the FBI, that they had to give him an extra 2 years, even though 10 years is the term that was set in place. So you never could have a situation with the FBI that we saw when it was first founded, where it was a big blackmailing operation. So 10 years is the term, but there was so much to clean up that they had to extend it 2 years into Obama's term. You'll recall that it's scandalous, really, what they did and how they did that. Borderline unconstitutional, illegal. But Mueller now wants to repent for his sins. Yes, he's Q-Vision. I see it clearly. He's repenting for his sins, and he is going to help drain the swamp. This is one of the promises Trump made. So what do we see in the New York Times today? Mueller's digging exposes culture of foreign lobbying and its big paydays. So this is not at all about the Russian collusion. In fact, Manafort, let me see, I have some clips to back this up. Let me just give you a background or an AP report on the first day of the Manafort trial.
We had a day of testimony about Paul Manafort's lavish lifestyle and a good bit of back and forth between the prosecution and the judge about how relevant that is to the case and to the jury, and how much the jury should be able to hear about Manafort's lifestyle, which includes very fancy homes, very fancy cars, rugs, nearly $1 million in expensive high-end suits. So this is a guy who lived lavishly. His defense lawyer stipulated yesterday that Paul Manafort travels in circles that most of us will never understand. That's not a crime. The judge agrees that's not a crime. So even though we heard testimony about that, you can tell that the judge has tried to limit the amount of information and evidence about the specifics of his life to the jury. The testimony is going to continue tomorrow morning. We expect tomorrow to get to bookkeepers and accountants. One thing that's important to note about that is that Paul Manafort's defense has been that Manafort's this busy international political consultant. He himself didn't have time to deal with the, specifics and minutia of his finances, so he left it to others. We're going to see whether that's really true and whether that's supported by the government's evidence.
Now, I play this AP clip specifically because what you hear is they have no outrage. There's nothing. The guy is not cooperating. There's nothing. All he's saying is, hey, someone else did my taxes. I messed it up. But it gets even crazier because this huge trial that everybody is talking about was initially the guy was not prosecuted 8 years ago for the very same crimes, but through Q Vision, we see something very interesting.
One of their arguments is this. Paul Manafort was investigated by the federal government, by a team of federal prosecutors and FBI agents for all this stuff 8 years ago, and they exonerated him. And who was the young prosecutor that led that exoneration? Rod Rosenstein, who now runs the Justice Department. And they have threatened to call Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein as their first witness and have him give to the jury all the reasons why he declined the prosecution of these charges 8 years ago.
Do you think they have gotten anything from him? Has Mueller's team gotten what they wanted or needed or hoped to find from
Paul
Manafort?
Absolutely.
Anything at all?
Absolutely not. In fact, on the steps of the courthouse this morning, after jury selection, this afternoon actually, and before these opening statements, Manafort's lawyer turned to the press and said, all deals are off. We will not settle anything. We won't give them anything. We're rolling the dice with the jury.
Now, through our current vision, we now understand that this is a setup, and Mueller has indeed referred Tony Podesta, the Podesta Group, which is now defunct, and other lobbyists to the Southern District of New York. And this, through Q Vision, is the draining of the swamp. The first step is blowing everything wide open and showing all of this money in Washington, D.C., all of the lobbying. And there's thousands of unregistered lobbyists, people lobbying who did not register as a lobbyist would be more correct. Thousands of them. They're foreign agents. They've got all kinds of money. They're doing hookers and blow and restaurants and meat, whatever it is. And this trial would be the beginning of the draining of the swamp. Q gloss is off. And I will come back with more of these Q Vision segments.
That was it? You're done?
Well, I was going to pause here to hear what you had to say.
Oh, well, I think we can play my Manafort clip and see if it fits into anything.
Okay.
Mine's a rap.
Though Paul Manafort was the Trump campaign chairman for 3 months, this trial is not about that. For nearly a decade, Robert Mueller's prosecutors told the jury today, Manafort made millions representing Russia's neighbor, Ukraine, and its president, Viktor Yanukovych, a Putin ally, but stashed at least 15 million of it in overseas banks to avoid paying taxes. Prosecutors say he also lied to banks to get nearly 25 million in loans on his houses. But Manafort's lawyer told the jury that the man who hid the money from the IRS was Manafort's former business partner, Rick Gates, who has pleaded guilty and will testify. The defense says Gates was embezzling money from the lobbying firm. Manafort has defended his overseas lobbying as promoting democracy.
Well, the work I was doing in Ukraine was to help Ukraine get into Europe, and we succeeded.
President Trump's name wasn't even mentioned in court today, and he has distanced himself from Manafort in recent months.
He worked for me, for 49 days or something? A very short period of time.
Today, he again attacked Robert Mueller, tweeting, collusion is not a crime, but that doesn't matter because there was no collusion. Paul Manafort is 69. If convicted, he could get up to 10 years in prison.
Yeah, interesting. I think this report is a little outdated because the Rick Gates thing has an update to it. I think it's in this clip.
Judges have an unwritten rule not to interrupt opening and closing statements unless something so wrong is being said that it's going to infect the trial. But this judge is not keen on the government's case. This is the federal judge who basically said to the prosecutors in the courtroom, Bob Mueller has sent you here to squeeze this guy, points at Paul Manafort, to get information out of him that will help indict, charge, embarrass, or impeach the president of the United States, and I don't want to be part of it. And then they persuaded him that it was a legitimate case, and that's why the case is going forward. So there's two arguments here. Okay. One is the judge is right. The only reason they are prosecuting Paul Manafort is because they want him 2 trials, 2 months in solitary confinement. They're imposing about the most legal pressure they can possibly put on an innocent person. They want him to squeal on something, they don't know what, on Donald Trump.
It wasn't in there, but apparently Rick Gates is not flipping, is not saying anything at all. So, do you have your glasses still on? I didn't hear you take them off.
Yeah, I've been noticing that the funny thing about these glasses is that if you look out in the yard, you can see where weeds are developing as opposed to the normal plants. Very interesting.
Why don't you take them off? You shouldn't have them on too.
Okay, then we get them off.
Better. So just looking at the Q phenomenon, which I don't want to ignore because we kind of did that with Gamergate. It was too complicated. And Q Anon has similar characteristics. You know, you go to 8chan, you look at these posts and like, my brain hurts. But there's enough compendia that you can look up and you can read through it in a little more organized fashion. What we either have is a large group, very large, I think it's millions of people, who will be extremely disappointed, and that could have very bad consequences, very dire consequences, or they will be delighted with each step of the way as the swamp begins to drain. What Q really does, in my opinion, is nothing. It's a kind of no agenda formula, deconstructing things that are said in the mainstream, and some of it, we come up with as well. It's not like we don't agree that there's a bunch of Yahoo douchebags running stuff. I mean, you and I agree on that, and we know who the groups are, and we know where they are. And is there a deep state? Yeah, of course there's a deep state. It might have something to do with 400 people still waiting to be confirmed to get the jobs they're ready to do, which I guess Congress is unable to do or won't do. And maybe there's 400 people who need to get out. I don't know. But the movement is very real, and it's not to be ignored. And I will now have my Q glasses handy, and I will bring updates as they come through. There's really nothing else at this moment, and all these, I would say 70% of the time is spent on proving Q is real, which is a total waste of time. Who cares? The deconstruction he does is reasonable, or she, or it.
Well, I don't even see that much deconstruction. I see a lot of hinting. Oh, look at this! Look for this! Look for that!
Yeah,
that's
what most of it is. But there's some deconstruction in there. I didn't bring specific examples, but I looked through thousands of posts, and it's not to be ignored. That's why we have our Q Vision glasses, so that we can look at it with Q Vision and then not have to worry about being able to straddle that. We can always take them off and look at it from a different perspective.
Well, as you mentioned deep state, I want to don't want to change the topic completely, but I do want to do a movie recommendation.
Okay.
Because this is a movie you've never heard of, you've never seen. It came out last year, 2017. It's highly regarded by the movie aficionados and collectors and people in the know. It's French movie, even though it's not in all English. It's got Steve Buscemi and Michael Palin and Jeffrey Tambor. You'd think these guys alone would, you'd get some attention. Yeah. It's called The Death of Stalin.
Okay.
And it's about the death of Stalin, with Jeffrey Tambor playing Malenkov and Buscemi playing Khrushchev. And it's a comedy that is, I would say, 90%
Oh, I heard about this. Yeah.
90% historically accurate. The way that Beria was killed is questionable at the end, but it is in fact, I ended up going to the Wikipedia pages and looking up all these guys and trying to piece it together, see what they left out and what they put in. And it's very – if I was taking Russian history, I'd want to see this movie for sure. But it is one of the funniest movies you'll ever see in terms of its attack on people who go along with the program, people who are scared of everything, people who listen to the media. It's a very no agenda.
It's a roadmap, is what you're saying.
It's a comedy road. Yeah, it's kind of a roadmap, and some of it's kind of creepy, and most of it's pathetic, and it's very funny in spots. It's extremely funny, and Tambor probably takes his creepy character that he used to play when he was Hank on the
Hank Kingsley.
He takes that to a new level of jerk.
Oh, good.
Which is hard to believe.
Excellent. I'll watch it. And what is it on? Netflix?
I found a DVD of it.
Oh, okay. The Death of Stalin. I'm sure it's on the Amazon somewhere.
It's got to be somewhere.
But to wrap up this segment, I did want to play one YouTube clip because I watched so many. And although not per se Q related, it is just a great conspiracy. that I'd like us to keep in the back of our minds, and it's about Hillary and her illness on the campaign trail.
Yes.
And a new theory about. Have you heard of this? Did you?
I've seen a million of these theories that she's walking around with a colostomy bag, but I don't know. No, probably not.
This is David Todeshin.
Hello, my name is Dave, and it is the morning of November 23rd, 2016.
This is important. This is when Q started, and this is when we had all this information.
We've all but proven with their own documents that Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, John Podesta, and the whole bunch of these people, including some notable celebrities out in Hollywood, are into this spirit cooking, child molesting, and even child sacrifice. To my knowledge, no bodies have been recovered, no murder charges have been proffered, but it all goes back to the thing that during the debates seems to have been proven wrong, at least for that day, that Hillary Clinton is suffering some kind of brain disease, some kind of encephalitic disease that's causing her to wig out and do stupid shit with her head, okay? And I don't know if you've seen it, but there's photos where she's talking and she's got a hole in her tongue. And I found out that there is a disease called Kuru, K-U-R-U. It's a very rare disease that is contracted by, get this, eating dead people. Cannibalism, spirit cooking, cannibalism, sacrifices to the pagan god Molech of the Old Testament in the Bible is what these people do. So if you're involved in spirit cooking and child rape and child murder and eating dead bodies, my God, it's just, it's 2 days before Thanksgiving. I gotta take a break from this shit, otherwise I'm gonna barf up my Thanksgiving dinner.
There you go, Kuru.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Kuru for a second. And of course, all this is accounted for by her conking her head in that plane wreck that we've stopped talking about, and everybody else stopped talking about too. But she got into a plane wreck in Iran.
Yeah,
and it was somewhat documented. Kuru is mad cow disease. It's also scrappy, and it's a virus, and it creates all kinds of problems in the brain. And it is easily transmittable from eating brains, not necessarily flesh.
Oh, but that's the delicacy.
So you eat brains, and also it's just Kuru. It's cannibals apparently have this problem. Well, yeah, it's a good idea. It's funny. I don't think that's she hasn't got Kuru.
Okay.
She's got the results of a head trauma.
Well, she did have actual head trauma. It's just people probably forgot that. We talk about the Iranian plane crash.
Yeah, we're the only ones who talked about it.
But what was her excuse? That she slipped in her home and
she slipped and hit herself on the
head
or something.
Well, with that, let's transition to Russia, because the question remains, as always: is there any collusion?
Any collusion?
Any collusion?
Any collusion?
Any collusion?
Is collusion a crime? Is the question.
So both Giuliani and Trump, we see they're making the argument that collusion isn't illegal, that it's not in the criminal code. Tell us what you know. What's the fact here?
And this is interesting.
Yeah.
If you look at the very long federal criminal code, which contains over 4,000 crimes, you won't find a crime called collusion. But you will find crimes that punish people for hacking into email or computers or election fraud or violating campaign financing laws. And then other laws punish people for conspiracy, which means working with other people to commit crimes. So at the end of the day, it's really just kind of a rhetorical device to say that collusion isn't a crime, because Special Counsel Mueller certainly understands that. And so what he's charged most frequently is conspiracy to defraud the United States.
And I like that. Conspiracy to defraud the United States. Because you could easily pin that on the Democratic National Committee. They defrauded their own voters in the primary with Bernie Sanders. There's not even an argument about that. Half of the top brass had to resign, including Chairwoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. They may have done other forms of defrauding of the United States. Certainly, maybe if you want to take it to opposition research, which is what Trump is being accused of getting the dirt on Hillary, asking Russia to hack her emails. None of it true, of course. You look at the report itself, and you look at what the DNC and Hillary and the Brits did with their MI5 or MI5 guy, Christopher Steele. That could also be said that's trying to defraud the United States.
Yeah, I agree. Well, a lot of it now, of course, is the focus in the news cycle and the news media is back on Facebook.
Yes, I have a clip.
I didn't get the clip of.
I do. I have clips.
I have clips, but I have a couple of clips, but I didn't get the clip. I didn't get the meat clip. I was thinking about it.
The meat clip?
Oh, you don't have the meat clip?
Let me look. No, I don't see the meat clip.
Oh, go to YouTube and look up Zuckerberg meat or Zuckerberg brisket.
Oh, I saw this where he's cooking his brisket.
Yeah, and he's just like an idiot. He's just talking about
for hours. He's talking about his meat. Yeah,
his meat.
What does that have to do with anything?
Just saying. I think while he's doing that, Facebook is going down the tubes. So let's play the new Facebook nonsense. Clip 1.
Less than 100 days until the midterms, Facebook sounding the alarm after uncovering what appears to be new covert efforts on its platform to influence U.S. elections. NBC's Peter Alexander with a new threat and what Facebook is doing about it.
Tonight, Facebook says it's happening again. The social media giant announcing it's removed 32 pages and accounts from Facebook and Instagram. An apparent political influence campaign ahead of November's midterms. The bogus pages stirring up divisive issues, one called Resistors, promoting a counter-protest against an upcoming white nationalist rally, even recruiting activists who Facebook says unwittingly helped build interest in the event. That page also pushing the left-wing campaign to abolish ICE, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, part of a growing political firestorm.
The Democrats want to abandon ICE. They want to end ICE.
Well, it doesn't sound like it's very pro-Republicans, what they're doing.
Well, this is the latest thing is because they can't really get the goods, that show them slanting one way or the other. What they're doing is they're just amplifying supposedly.
Well, no, they're taking a position. They're taking a position against
both
ICE.
Positions, though. See, they're taking both positions.
They're so smart.
They're taking both positions that way to cause more division by taking both sides. See,
can I play the NPR backgrounder on these 32 accounts?
Let's play part 2 first, and then
the Democrats want to abandon ICE. They want to end ICE.
The pages created between March of last year and this May, picking up 290,000 followers. So who's responsible? Facebook says it doesn't know. But on Capitol Hill, lawmakers are again pointing the finger at Russia, one Republican vowing more sanctions.
That has everything but the kitchen sink in it. It'll be the sanctions bill from hell.
The new revelations after Congress recently grilled CEO Mark Zuckerberg over Facebook's handling of Russian interference in 2016.
Unfortunately, the enforcement isn't perfect. We do need to make it more proactive, and I'm committed to doing that.
I think Facebook really wants to get it right so that it can restore some of that trust among users and investors.
And tonight, Facebook says it's been working with the FBI and others. The White House tells us President Trump is aware of this latest disinformation campaign and that they applaud the actions Facebook is taking. Lester?
Peter Alexander at the White House. Thanks.
What's our takeaway from that?
Our takeaway is that this is bull crap.
Yes. Listen to the NPR goes into detail, like a lot, like numbers and stuff. 2 clips. It just makes it that much funnier.
So what details did Facebook reveal today about these ongoing efforts to disrupt U.S. politics?
So it said it had disrupted a campaign that involved 32 accounts, Facebook and Instagram accounts that were created between March 2017 and May of this year. And this campaign included an effort to organize counter-protests for a planned white nationalist rally that's happening in Washington, D.C. in a couple of weeks.
Counter-protests against white guys.
They used this fake account to reach out to genuine American grassroots Facebook pages to kind of help organize logistics and build legitimacy and build interest in these counter-protests.
And what sort of impact did this campaign have?
So it's kind of misleading, right, to think, it's only 32 accounts. But the impact is magnitudes larger. So over the last...
now we hear the Facebook network effects.
15 months or so, they managed to attract a total of 290,000 followers.
Wow.
And they made 9,500 posts. They ran 150 advertisements. And they even organized 30 events. And although Facebook, doesn't track this in the real world, they couldn't vouch for whether the events occurred, people definitely signed up for them.
So tell us a little bit about who might be behind this. Did Facebook offer any information on that?
So they said they weren't able to definitively say who was behind the influence campaign. And they didn't want to be totally conclusive about it. But here's what they did say. They said the campaign involves similar tools, techniques, and procedures that were used by the Russian Internet Research Agency during the 2016 campaign. So it follows a same kind of flow. And they also had another kind of tantalizing piece of evidence. For 7 minutes, a known Russian Internet Research Agency account was made a co-administrator of one of the fake pages involved in this campaign.
So, of course we want to know more technical details. Have no fear, because the NPR cyber guy knows all.
One thing that's really gotten challenging is that this round of political interference has gotten more sophisticated. If it is Kremlin-linked, the Internet Research Agency or whoever was behind this, they're leaving fewer clues, and it's becoming harder for Facebook to track it down. In the past, the Internet Research Agency occasionally slipped up, and they used a Russian IP address, which gives us some clues for the origin of the campaign. But there's no sign of that here. And these actors, they used virtual private networks to mask their identity and third parties to place their ads to kind of hide what was going on behind the scenes. So,
a virtual private network. Ever hear one of those, John? That's a Russian thing. Hope you're not using one.
Damn Russians.
As their methods get more sophisticated, Facebook will have to get more sophisticated in finding out ways to track it and to stop it. Sheryl Sandberg, the chief operating officer of Facebook, even went so far as to say that this was arms race.
Did they talk about what sophisticated methods they will be using to try to stop future efforts like this?
They were kind of a little shy in saying exactly how they might track down future efforts, because that would give bad actors a way to kind of bypass whatever methods that they're trying to use. But it does involve AI. It does involve pretty sophisticated methods, they say.
Pretty sophisticated AI, sophisticated methods. Shut up. We got it under control. It's all good here. But everybody is freaking about the Russians hacking. Even Fox, his own nut job about it.
The other problem, and exactly what Bill was referring to, and that is that we already have an indication that they were into our utilities, into our infrastructure, that if they wanted to, they could try and shut down the country. And that's why Dan Coates said that the system was blinking red again, referring to 9/11 and the Great Catastrophe. The Russians are toying with us. They are sending us warning signals, and Donald Trump simply must respond more forcefully than he has.
And I love it. All the mainstream media, and even though they try to not include themselves, Fox is mainstream media more than others. They're all on the Russia's going to kill us. Russia.
Let's get the CIA official.
Oh yes.
So I was listening to Good Morning, the one Nora, or whatever her name is.
Nora and Gail? CBS this morning.
So they have the CBS. This is Russians Facebook with our buddy coming on to give his 2 cents worth.
Facebook says it's cracking down on a coordinated campaign designed to interfere with the upcoming midterm elections. Facebook removed 32 pages and apparently fake accounts that stoked emotions over divisive issues. More than 290,000 accounts followed at least one of the pages. Facebook says it does not have firm evidence of who's behind the effort, but it found similarities and connections to a Russian firm accused of meddling in the 2016 election.
CBS News national security contributor Michael Morell is with us from Washington. He was acting director and deputy director of the CIA. Mike, good morning.
Good morning, Nora.
Facebook has been reluctant to say it is the Russians, but do you feel confident they're behind this effort?
Nora, I have no doubt that the Russians are behind the effort.
With no evidence.
Yeah, without evidence, yes.
But he's got no doubt.
Let's go to the...
No, wait, you got to do one follow-up just so we can see where this guy's coming up to. I do have the Morell on Putin in the same thing. This, by the way, he went on for 10 minutes after she introduced him, so I only put that little clip in. But within that clip, there was this little tidbit about his feelings or somebody's feelings about Putin.
We have not deterred Vladimir Putin. What's absolutely clear is that he continues to interfere in our democracy, and he is doing it without cost. I think we need to, the Senate needs to, the President needs to significantly enhance the sanctions and raise the pain on Putin so that he thinks twice about what he's doing. It's also absolutely clear, Alex, that he has lied to the President of the United States on multiple occasions. And I think we need to understand that and make policy based on that rather than what he says.
Okay. Well, we need to revisit.
Keep that in mind.
We need to revisit that. There's a lot of people still in Washington who remember the Cuban Missile Scare and who do hate Russia, but they hate the Soviet Union, and this is all big elites. Council on Foreign Relations is pushing this, and just go and look at who's in CFR. It's all these journalists, the same people who are telling you that it's Russia, 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 and they're horrible, and they can bring us down. They can shut down the country. They're in our utilities. Everything hasn't happened, but be very, very afraid.
It could happen. It could happen any minute. They're toying with us.
Yes, Steve Cohen, Professor Cohen, was allowed on.
I have this clip. This is a good clip.
Yeah, he was allowed on CNN. With Anderson Pooper and the CFR shill. What's his name? Yeah, Max Boot. And I thought it was, first of all, kudos for Professor Cohen, who I think kept his cool, even though he's being accused.
I thought he was getting about to have a heart attack.
Well, for him, he was pissed off, but he did it I thought he did it in a adult way. But, he's basically being accused of being a shill for Putin, who's a professor who studied Russia for, 35, 40 years.
I have no idea what Mr. Boot is talking about. He wants Trump to threaten Russia. Why would we threaten Russia? You've got two nuclear
because they're attacking us. Russia is attacking us, Professor.
By the way, Max Boot is almost in tears when he's saying this. They're attacking us. Don't you see it? They're attacking us. Leave Brittany alone.
Cohen. Russia is attacking us right now, according to Trump's own director of national intelligence.
Russia, I've been studying Russia for 45 years. 45. I've lived in Russia and I've lived here.
And you've been consistently an apologist for Russia in those 45 years.
Russia hasn't... Excuse me, what did you say to me?
I said you've been consistently an apologist for Russia in those last 45 years.
All right, I don't do defamation of people. I do serious analysis of serious national security problems. When people like you call people like me, and not only me, but people more eminent than me, apologists for Russia, because we don't agree with your analysis, you are criminalizing diplomacy and détente, and you are the threat to American national security. End of story. Why do you have to defame somebody you don't agree with it? They used to do that in the old Soviet Union. We don't do that here. Well, we used to, but we need to stop it.
So just finally, Stephen, you're saying Russia was not attacking the United States?
I know what you're talking about. That during the 2016 election, Russia attacked the United States. Yes, I don't think they attacked the United States.
Okay, and yet you just denied being an apologist for Russia. You're apologizing for Russia as we speak.
Well, you haven't let me finish. You don't know what I'm going to say.
Please
the meddling began, Mr. Cooper, and the meddling began right after the Russian Revolution when Woodrow Wilson sent American troops to fight in the Russian Civil War against the Communists. The meddling began on the Soviet and Russian, let me finish. On the meddling side, when the communists formed the Communist International, 1919. Ever since then, Moscow's meddled in our politics. We have meddled in theirs. This is low-level stuff, what went on. It is not an attack. It is not 9/11. It is not Pearl Harbor. It is not Russian paratroopers descending on Washington. This kind of hyperbole, an attack on America, suggests we need to attack Russia. So you've got Mr. Boot saying that Trump should threaten Russia?
Exactly. It's lunacy.
Well, I'm sorry you cut off the end of that because he had one more point to make.
I didn't have it.
Well, go to my clip and pick up the last part of it.
Okay.
President Trump today talked our politics. We have meddled in theirs. This is low-level stuff, what went on. It is not an attack. It is not 9/11. It is not Pearl Harbor. It is not Russian paratroopers descending on Washington. This kind of hyperbole, an attack on America, suggests we need to attack Russia. So you've got Mr. Boot saying that Trump should threaten Russia? With what? Does he want to attack?
Try sanctions.
You know what I think? I think that Mr. Boot would have been happy if Trump had waterboarded Putin at the summit and made him confess. Trump carried out an act of diplomacy fully consistent with the history of American presidencies. Let us see what comes of it, then judge.
That is a good point. I'm glad we had that. And all of this brings me to my favorite sports presenter, Jason Whitlock, who he's kind of summed this up in a 2-minute segment here, which he calls cyberhumans against real humans.
There's a deadly culture war being waged that isn't being discussed on Fox News, MSNBC, or CNN. Cyberhumans versus humans. People whose reality is shaped by the internet versus people whose reality is shaped by the real world. Right now, cyberhumans are crushing humans. It might be the most one-sided war in the history of the world. Cyberhumans live on 3 planets: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. They use Facebook to promote their delusional lifestyles. They visit Instagram for sex, and they use Twitter to control what all of us think. Twitter is their weapon of war. Cyberhumans control the media and celebrities, America's tastemakers, through Twitter. They bully us into buying into their false sense of reality with Twitter bots and thought police and lynch mobs. Twitter is why the media and celebrities believe police are indiscriminately killing large numbers of black men. Twitter is why Colin Kaepernick believes police brutality is a bigger threat to black men than mass incarceration and poverty. Twitter is why Kaepernick and his supporters think the best way to show that Black Lives Matters is by being publicly angry when a white police officer kills a black man unjustly and silent when a black man kills a black boy unjustly. Twitter is a cesspool of 140-character bigotry. It's the virus spreading racial division in the real world. Cyberhumans spend their lives locked in this virtual world, unable to see the humanity in their classmates, next-door neighbors, and co-workers, unwilling to accept that good people might disagree with them. They filter out flawed human beings and only let like-minded cyberhumans enter their smartphone reality. They avoid connecting, talking, and engaging in the real world in a real way. They duck their heads and stare at their phones. For cyberhumans, it's safer to tweet and text and snap. But is it safer for us, those of us who visit the cyber world but prefer living in the real one?
There you go. The only thing he had wrong was the name. Cyberhumans. That doesn't work.
Well, it was okay. I like the name. It didn't bother me. I liked the pitch was good.
How about iZombies?
iZombies.
That's better. iZombies.
That's a little more.
It's appropriate.
Yeah.
Everyone understands.
That was good. Where did that come from?
From FS1, baby. Fox Sports 1 that I watch all the time.
FS1.
And with that, I'd like to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, John C., where the C stands for Conspiracy of Q. Dvorak.
In the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. In the morning, Space Force. In the morning, all ships at sea, boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water. Dangerous nights out there.
Yes. In the morning to the troll room, noagendastream.com. Everybody has been there. They were very helpful this morning. We have not had, I'll knock on wood, a single outage, John. So they were there this morning when we figured out that we just had to turn off the IPv6. It's been fantastic. Who the hell knew? But that's what it is. Thank you, Troll Room, noagendastream.com. Also in the morning to Comic Strip Blogger. Once again, he's got his art featured nicely on the album art for episode 1055. The title of that was Tongue Jammin'. And this was the Creepy Broadcast System logo, which looked like lips or something else, depending on how you look at it.
Kind of
it was a
mental,
Yeah, there was.
He also did the Shithole Texas one, which was a good part, but we decided not to use it.
You used it in the newsletter, right?
Yeah, it was I used it in the newsletter. It was also, I think it's because I don't know why we didn't use it for a number of reasons, but it was good. Well done.
And I wanted to say noagendaartgenerator.com. That's where you can upload your art. And thank you, Comic Strip Blogger, and everybody else who helped us out. And we use it for all kinds of things. And your value is highly appreciated.
No, what Adam kind of touched on, and there's other people should at least know about, was that he was determined that he has this router that was causing the problems from the last show, which it was covered up by the editing.
Yeah, we had 22 edits.
Yeah, which as far as he's concerned, you might as well shoot yourself. Looking at the forums, we discovered that his router has all kinds of issues. It's a piece of crap, according to most people.
Yeah.
But it's the one they provide him with, and what are you supposed to do? And so you can replace it supposedly. But somebody mentioned that things cleared up for them when they turned off IPv6.
Yeah, and that's supposed to be the future of the internet.
And so he turns it off, and the problem disappears. And further on in this same comment that was in the forum, it was on AT&T's website too, which is funny, was the guy says he calls up the AT&T about this, turning this off, which seemed to clear up the problem for him. And they said, no, you got to turn that back on. You got to turn it back on.
Oh, the AT&T guy said that? Yeah.
The AT&T guy goes nuts.
They're probably sucking out statistics or something through IPv6. Oh, Lord knows what they're doing.
It could be. There could be something onerous going on. So turn off IPv6 on your AT&T.
If you have because I have AT&T fiber, and we saw just so many interruptions. And I was doing work this morning, and I was like, okay, I'm literally losing packets. So it's on my end. I love.
There's no reason to be losing packets at all, especially on gigabit.
No, and I'm always happy to think the problem is on your end. That's because it usually is. But that's it. Yeah. So, but I'm gonna get a proper router. So that's what it is, and I'm very happy because it's not the edits. I don't care. I'll edit 100 times. I can do them fast, but it really hurt the flow of the show. It really hurts it. So
let's thank a few people for show 1056. We get it eventually. So Scott Littler, Littler, in Nashville, Tennessee, starts off at $520.
Woohoo!
Good man. Can't thank you enough for all that you do. The best podcast in the universe is the highlight of my week. I'd like to make the donation in the name of my 12-year-old daughter, Elizabeth Littler.
Oh, how nice.
Making her a No Agenda executive producer and giving her a strong start toward future damehood.
Nice.
She enjoys listening to the show whenever she's in the car or in the truck with me. And given the awful Nashville traffic between home and her school, she listens a lot. This weekend, I'm flying out to Sacramento, to pick her up from her mother where she spent the summer vacation.
Oh, she'll need new programming.
Yep. She's been in California.
She'll need to be reprogrammed.
Yeah. It's going to take a while, probably a month or two of solid listening. Just tie her down. We've been planning to meet in Redding so that I didn't have to drive all that way up to the Wairika. Oh, she's up in Wairika. The wildfire seems to still be raging up there. So if I'm to believe the news on Sunday's show, you mentioned the fires and the rain sticks, but I don't recall an actual treatment being administered in NorCal, nor was there. Might you give the Reading Mount Shasta region a little rain stick shake to clear the way? It's clearing up.
It's clearing. And the harp is off, so no worries.
Two of Elizabeth's favorite no agenda clips are Colombians for Trump.
Yeah.
You know that one?
Yes, I do.
And don't raff. Why are you raffing? Shut up. If you could please those along with Karma, I would truly appreciate it. Lately, she's gone bonkers for Japanese anime, manga, etc. And the Colombian woman does remind us a lot of her mother. So these two clips bring her to laughing tears when I fire up the No Agenda soundboard. She's about to start 7th grade, and the second year with her mother living far away. She's where she wants to be, heading back to school, but it's hard on her living with grumpy old me all the time, and this Mr. Mom could use some help too. Is there finding a part-time nanny, Karma? How about finding a live-in babe?
Yeah, really. What, dude, you're not thinking straight. Dude, you're not thinking straight. It could be great for both of you.
This low donation talk this summer has been really concerning. It's hard to imagine Thursdays and Sundays without your news analysis, insights, and hilarious banter. I hope this small donation helps keep things rolling. Best regards.
Okay. It's a little long, but I think we should play it if she gets such joy from it. And as an executive producer, hell yeah.
Where are you from?
I'm from Colombia.
Colombia. And is this a setup? Did I ever meet you before? Huh?
I'm Hispanic and I vote for Mr. Trump. We vote for Mr. Trump. Yes, Mr. Trump. We love you. We love you. All the way to the White House.
I've forgotten about this.
You're beautiful. Thank you, darling. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. Be careful.
Don't laugh.
That's so great.
Why you are laughing? Shut up. Shut up.
You've got karma.
You know, he should get a Colombian nanny.
I forgot that clip. That's a very funny.
It's
clip.
great, but he should get a Colombian nanny because A, his daughter will like it, and B, there's some good little hot Colombian nannies.
Yeah, I guess.
Just a tip.
Steven Businger, $500. I just left my old job in order to start my new job selling roofs. Then I realized that some job karma would be a good thing to release into the ether. Please make sure to pronounce my last name correctly so that way the karma knows where to go. Businger. I've been listening since 2011, and every episode is great. $500.
Thank you very much. Here it is. Here it is.
You've got karma.
There was an interesting tweet this morning that was at both of us. I don't know if you saw it. And people who are new to the show would think, oh, what is this karma stuff? It's nothing we came up with. People started asking for it. Once someone gave us the harp sound, we started playing it. So it's by request. But it also appears to work when people ask for job selling karma, moving karma, job karma in particular. That's where we first noticed it really did appear to work. Frank Yonan on Twitter said this morning regarding the karma stuff, have you guys considered quantum physics as a possible explanation? I
have.
With uttered hope being not much more than charged particles causing quantum vibrations. Science, baby.
Well, a lot of evangelical Christians have this thought that two or three people getting together, especially if they're holding hands and having the same prayer, has an effect.
Yeah.
Which is similar kind of a thing if it was going to be blamed on quantum physics.
I'm sticking to it. Karma is quantum.
Jennifer, a.k.a. Viking Mom, $400.17. Another unknown city. I just found your show and I love it. Just found your show and I love it. I know this is a little long, but I hope I can read it all because I'm so sick of the echo chamber where I live here in Redwood City, California, which hosts the headquarters of Box Network, EA, Oracle, which is almost next door to Facebook and 20 miles south of the poop-filled city of San Francisco. We conservatives have to call ourselves travelers so nobody knows we are not Democrats.
Wait, is this true? If you're conservative in California, you have to say, I'm a traveler?
I'm a traveler.
Are you a Democrat? I'm a traveler.
So it's what I do. I'm unaffiliated, and you should be too. She goes on, as a former leader of a nationwide women's networking group with thousands of friends in California and across the country, I had to hide my feelings when women yell out, don't use Uber, use Lyft. So when I decided to come out of the conservative closet in my first post about the walkaway movement, not only were guns ablazing, but I could hear jaws hitting the floor. Women were saying, what's wrong? Do I need to talk? LOL, shock and awe that a woman voted for Trump in California. I came out and I'm being more vocal now because I believe in order for California to change, respected people and leaders in the community have to start showing their difference of opinion without worrying about losing business or friends. Here's another bit. My husband is from Sweden and my dad has immigrated here from Denmark and socialism is bad. Referencing Scandinavia as a reason why it works is deceiving. You want a 50-hour wait time for the ER? That's the fact they don't talk about. But I digress. So California, are you ready to pick up the poop? Then you have to do something more than occasional post on Facebook. Think a yard sign, a T-shirt. Be vocal. Let's start educating by hosting face-to-face events, even if it's just getting 5 to 10 of your friends together to discuss the upcoming election. If we keep silent, California will never flip back. We'll have to hit the ground running to make sure Gavin Newsom does not win the governorship. Okay, well, that's my wish because I know California has conservatives. We do exist, and when California flips, the entire country will see the writing on the wall. We Californians don't really want to be our own country or fall into the ocean because of a giant earthquake or have a wall built behind us. We want to make California great again. Anywho, I often recommend your podcast to all those who will listen and wanted to donate to the show in honor of my 40th birthday on August 17th, where I will be having a party in the center of poop-filled San Francisco. Your friend out west, Jennifer, a.k.a. Viking Mom. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you do a cold read.
You've got karma.
Yes, I'm glad you're so proud of yourself. That was a nice note from Viking Mom. That was, well, I hope she picks up little tidbits from the show that she can use to ease people into it, because it's going to be very difficult.
In California, we have this is the state that has the voter election fraud.
Yes.
And that's so we have this domination from the people doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the media is all for it, so there's nobody's bitches much about anything, and everyone's happy. Everyone's happy that we have potholes everywhere, poop on the streets, nothing gets fixed. I was driving down the freeway to the airport.
Here we go.
And all you can see, there's areas of the Highway 80. I'm not going to talk about potholes. I'm going to talk about weeds. There are so many weeds. We have half the population of the state is in jail. They can't bring them out to pull up weeds.
What, you're done? Come on.
I'm done.
Oh, man.
Ludmilla Schaefer in Little Rock, Arkansas comes in with $350. We have a lot of executive producers today. I want to thank them individually, and we're doing that, but I want to thank them collectively too. Thank you for your energy you provide during your show. I've been introduced to the No Agenda 3 months ago by my dear friend Nahel, Nahel. No Agenda makes life more motivational and informative. Thank you for your amazing job you're doing.
Oh, thank you, and welcome to the party.
Ivan Andriovich Bastishev. Ivan Bastishev.
Ivan or Ivan?
It could be Ivan. It's Ivan. It's not Ivan. What am I thinking? Well, it's Ivan Bastishev. And he's in Shanghai.
Nice.
$333.33 with no note.
He's our Russian in Shanghai.
That's what it sounds like. Let me see. I don't know how many of you can dig him up. I'll look later, and if I find a note from him in the email, I will read it later. But thank you, Ivan. Matthew Phillips in Brooklyn, New York, $333. First-time donator. Love the show. Wanted to be a producer to add to LinkedIn. Keep up the good work. Please give me a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
Drop down to our associate executive producers. Dropping right down to 200. James Story in Lower Hutt, New Zealand, 200. Long-time boner, first-time donor. Please de-douche me, and I'd like to give a shout-out to my smoking hot fiancée, Julia.
You've been de-douched.
Love the show.
Thank you very much.
And last on our list, the second associate executive producer, Sir Steve Schneider. Again, no town. Thanks for bringing us the best podcast in the universe with my beautiful wife. With my beautiful wife and I expecting our first child later this month, I'd appreciate some human resource karma for our firstborn and jobs karma for those in need.
Yes, you got it, Sir Steve Schneider. And thank you, along with your other associate executive producer, James Story, and then that nice list of executive producers. Thank you for keeping the show going, as was already pointed out by Matthew Phillips. These credits are real. You can put them on your LinkedIn. And people seem to get jobs with them, and we also help out with the karma, so let's do that.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
And remember, we've got another show on Sunday.
Dvorak.org/NA.
So now, just like Viking Mom, you can go out there, take our formula, and propagate it.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth. Order.
Shut up, slave.
Shut up, slave.
Indeed.
Yes.
Well, we can go to a bunch of minor things, or we can do the. I've got a little insight on the Les Moonves story.
Ah, yes, the president CEO of CBS, who apparently Monday his fate will be decided by the board if he can stay on or not.
Well, if he stays on, I can tell you someone who's going to be in a heap of trouble.
Yeah.
But let's get to that after we play Moonves' latest. This is the update on NBC.
Now to our NBC News exclusive in the scandal surrounding CBS Network chief Les Moonves. We've learned a woman went to Los Angeles police last year with sexual abuse allegations against Moonves dating back to the 1980s. But Moonves is not facing charges in that case. NBC's Morgan Radford explains why.
Tonight, what may be a seventh woman accusing CBS CEO Les Moonves of sexual misconduct. Prosecutors in Los Angeles declined to pursue charges stemming from those claims earlier this year because they say the statute of limitations expired. The unidentified woman went to police last year, reporting one incident from 1986 and two others from 1988, according to an official document obtained by NBC News.
If the statute of limitations has expired, there's simply no way to bring a case, no matter how strong the evidence is.
This following the bombshell New Yorker report last week. The article details 6 women's accounts that include accusations ranging from forcible touching or kissing to physical intimidation between the 1980s and the 2000s. Stephen Colbert speaking out on his CBS show.
Les Moonves is my guy, and I like working for him. But accountability is meaningless unless it's for everybody.
Moonves saying in part, I recognize that there were times decades ago when I may have made some women uncomfortable by making advances. Those were mistakes, and I regret them immensely, and I have never misused my position to harm or hinder anyone's career. In a statement last Friday, CBS said, we do not believe, however, that the picture of our company created in the New Yorker represents a larger organization that does its best to treat its tens of thousands of employees with dignity and respect. Moonves, who is staying in place during the independent investigation, is expected to speak at a CBS earnings call on Thursday. Morgan Radford, NBC News, New York.
So what are you implying? Colbert will be in trouble?
Oh, yeah. Now, I thought that this was a Roger Stone or someone of his ilk behind this, but I couldn't put two and two together enough to say why, because Moonves is just a happy-go-lucky guy making lots of money on advertising during elections.
Right.
But then when I heard Colbert, and I have two, and by the way, his job is to harm or hinder. That's what he does. He's
Yes.
the CEO of CBS.
Yeah.
So I'm not here to harm or hinder.
Of course, he
a career.
makes and breaks. Of course, that's the definition of what he does.
It's what he does. It's his job. But okay, whatever he says is fine. I have two versions. I have the complete Colbert speech, which is what it was. It's just over 2 minutes. And I have just the part that's important.
Oh, screw it. Let me hear the whole thing. Is
okay,
it,
well,
can we laugh?
This will be Colbert. No, it's not funny.
Oh.
This is Colbert on Moonves, and he brings out everything. And within this spiel, I realized why Roger Stone decided. And when they said that this thing that they just threw at him was from last year, 2017, with this woman who comes out of the blue and says, he tried to rape me in 1985 or whatever. This. So in other words, this happened a while ago when they started going after Moonves, and it took Ronan to end up finally bringing him kind of down. But when you listen to Colbert, I want to explain after we listen to this Colbert on Moonves complete. I'm going to tell you what happened.
Folks, before the break, I was over there. I made a few jokes about my boss being in trouble. And are we still broadcasting? You know what? Don't tell me I like a surprise. And here's the thing. We're coming up on 1 year of general awareness of the Me Too movement. And I think that milestone is worth celebrating. But it's hard to think of an appropriate anniversary gift when the entire Amazon wish list is just stop it. By the way, women who wanted to stop it also searched for justice. And women over the past year have felt empowered to tell their stories in ways they haven't before, which is an objectively good thing. Because, and it's strange to have to say this, powerful men taking sexual advantage of relatively powerless employees are wrong. We know it's wrong now, and we knew it was wrong then. And how do we know we knew it was wrong then? Because we know these men tried to keep the stories from coming out back then. I don't remember any ads in Variety saying, "Congratulations to me on all the butt I'm groping."
Wait, he's really going to do a 2-minute apology for this guy? Is that what this is going to wind up to be?
No.
Oh.
That said, and this is obviously naive on a certain level, the revelations and accusations of the past year, just in the entertainment industry alone, have been shocking. To me. To many of the women I know, it has brought a welcome sense of relief that something's finally happening. Now, as a middle-aged guy with some power in the entertainment industry, I may not be the ideal person to address this kind of systemic abuse. Who am I to judge? I'm a Catholic, still. And when I go to confession, I have things to confess. First, that I don't go to confession. And that I just lied to you for a bit. But this weekend, some people asked me, probably because I work here, what do you think is going to happen? I don't know. I don't know who does know. In a situation like this, I'd normally call less. But over the past year, there's been a lot of discussion about whether the disappearing of the accused from public life is the right thing to do. And I get that there should be levels of response. But I understand why that disappearing happens. Because there's a JFK quote that I like, and I cite a fair amount on this show, and it's that those who make peaceful revolution impossible make violent revolution inevitable. And for so long, for women in the workplace, there was no change, no justice for the abused. So we shouldn't be surprised that when the change comes, it comes radically. This roar is just a natural backlash to all that silence. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I do believe in accountability. And not just for politicians you disagree with. Everybody believes in accountability until it's their guy. And make no mistake, Les Moonves is my guy. He hired me to sit in this chair. He stood behind this show while we were struggling to find our voice. He gave us the time and the resources to succeed, and he has stood by us when people were mad at me. And I like working for him. But accountability is meaningless unless it's for everybody, whether it's the leader of a network or the leader of the free world. We'll be right back.
Luckily, we got Trump in there just at the very end. Thank goodness. Good work.
He slipped that in. So he threw Moonves under the bus.
Yeah.
After he goes on and says the thing that I think triggered the whole thing. I didn't realize that Moonves, according to Colbert right there, made his show happen. He's the one who hired him. David Letterman always bitched about the fact that Moonves never asked him once who he should hire as his replacement. He was irked about it. And nobody consulted anybody. It was Moonves who picked Colbert and put him in the show. And then it was Moonves who helped him along the way. And it was probably Moonves who directed him to become this anti-Trump kind of a caricature. That would be enough to make Moonves a target of a Roger Stone.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Now,
I just want to remind you, that's not how Colbert started out. In fact, he was failing until he started becoming Mr. Anti-Trump.
Yes, and that's who pushed him in that direction.
Les Moonves.
Yeah, he was failing, and he said so himself.
And Les Moonves really wanted that because, and we probably have the clip somewhere, he knows that just brings more ratings with the controversy over the president, which brings in ads. He was very vocal about that in his shareholder meeting, how great the president is for advertising.
Right. So but this makes him a target of a Roger Stone dirty trick.
Yes.
And this is paying off. Meanwhile,
yes, go ahead.
Well, meanwhile, if I'm Colbert and I had a guy do this for me, pick me out of the blue, put me in the show, nobody else got me on the show. He put me in the show. He fixes the show, which I believe he probably did because the guy is something of a programming genius.
He's smart, yeah.
He fixes the show so Colbert thrives, and he supports Colbert. And Colbert himself says they hated me, they did this, and Moonves helped. Instead of just shutting up or even defending Moonves, because Moonves says he didn't do any of this stuff, and he's my guy, and so I'm gonna support him because he's the guy that. In other words, instead of taking one for the team or falling on the sword or doing anything that you would do for somebody who did all that for you, instead of doing that, he condemns Moonves.
He goes out of his way.
Can you believe the gall of this guy?
He goes out of his way to do it even.
Yes. He didn't have to do this long bit. You heard it. I think if Moonves somehow stays in, which it's possible because the CBS guys aren't stupid, and they can do we'll suspend him. They can do some of the things you should do.
Yeah.
And Moonves gets his job back. This guy is out.
I like it. Put it in the book. It needs to be in the book.
Yeah, it's going in the book.
Outstanding.
And by the way, here's the other thing. Here's another thing that's a problem with what he did. If somebody new comes in, how can you trust this guy?
Right.
He's now untrustworthy because you don't do this to your boss.
Yeah, Colbert kind of loses either way.
Yeah, he can't win. He's done.
Why would he have done that?
Because he's stupid. He actually believes his own propaganda. I mean, he thinks higher. I think he's got a big ego or something. This was the single dumbest thing I've ever seen a guy at that level do.
Do you think he could be taken down by a Me Too thing?
I think he's pretty judgment proof. I don't think so. He's a real choir boy. Seems unlikely. I mean, it's possible he could trump up something, but I don't think they need to. He's just killed himself right there. It's unbelievably crazy because he's just showing off. I think I'm a big shot and I think everyone should be accountable, including my boss, after all the things his boss went through for him.
He should have just been quiet.
Yeah, he didn't have to do any of that.
Yeah. Not that I'm advocating,
if you're
quietness around the issue.
This is a political situation for him.
Yeah. Well, I think you're spot on with that. And please note it in the red book so we can check it off when he gets canned. Canned, I tell you, canned. We'll move over to Euroland for a second. A report now reveals that in one outskirt of Paris, there are 300,000 illegal migrants living in basically a ghetto. Did you read about this?
No. Yeah. Where's this ghetto?
It's
sure it's not just a gypsy encampment?
Let me see if I can find the actual. It's Paris, but I'm just trying to find. Oh, here, Saint Denis. So Saint
Denis. Yeah, I know where Saint Denis is. I've been there.
Yes, home to as many as 300,000 illegal immigrants. When was the last time you were there? What's it like? What's Saint Denis like?
I was there 20 years ago.
What was it like 20 years ago?
It was a Paris suburb. They're all fairly similar, very nice, a middle-class area.
Yeah, well, apparently now it's not so nice anymore.
Well, that's what I understand.
Yeah. You know, my childhood friend Hans called me from, he lives in Sitges, which is south of Barcelona. It's a beach town, little quiet. It's like a super gay beach town, which makes sense for him to live there. And, you know, I don't know if you saw that video in Spain of the migrants landing with rubber boats and just running up the shore.
Scattering.
So I'm talking to him, but he says, "Oh, you know what happens with them?" I said, "No," because it's happening here too. He says they run into the city. They've got their safe house. They get dry clothes, and the next day they're out selling fake Gucci bags on the corner. He says the Gucci bags arrive either by truck or maybe even with the same migrant shipment in the rubber boat. And the next day, the same guys are there just selling these bags everywhere. It's a sales force. It's a sales force.
It's a sales force.
It's not
invasion of sales.
It's not migration. It's a sales force. Space Force. Sales force.
Sales force.
I thought it was fantastic. I'm like, holy crap. No one is talking about this. Anyway, it's fun when you talk to people once in a while from overseas. If you're following Amazon and their stock, which I'm sure you and Horowitz do, I just wanted to give you a little tip, little report of what's going on because I frequent the Whole Foods here in Austin, Texas. It is, of course, the flagship store. This is the headquarters of Whole Foods, one of the many things Austin is known for.
Is Austin the responsible for that? Is that where it started?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes, as you know, we are the capital of live music, so that's why Whole Foods is here.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm always talking to the fish guys and the meat guys, and just seeing what's up. And I've always liked the crab cakes. And so, but the crab cakes have been out. We know why they were out because of the crab pickers. There was an issue. That's how we learned about it in the first place. This is Whole Foods, good intel, WF Intel. And the crab cakes are back. And I look at them, I said, they're different. And in this case, the girl says, yeah, this is really, I'm not happy about this. So what do you mean? Well, we used to make them here. But now they send them the goop pre-made. They send it over to us, and then we just roll it in the breadcrumbs. And they used to be 6 ounces. Now they're 5 ounces for the same price. Now, I don't know if this intel is helpful for investing, but they're definitely making moves in the Whole Foods.
Well, they've been making moves on the Whole Foods since Dave bought them.
Well, this is the first provable, noticeable thing. I mean, they haven't really changed the format much. There's also these weird. I think they have Wi-Fi detection that's been installed. I've never really looked at the ceiling in Whole Foods. Why would I? But I looked up the other day, and there's these weird. It looks like a light with a reflector, but it has some other kind of element in it, and I don't believe it's a light because it's kind of a shiny, more like a matte, shiny but matte finish reflector, and it looks like an antenna element in it. I'm not sure what it is.
Have you turned on your? Oh, you can't do this.
No, I can't. I cannot do. Well, it wouldn't help me anyway.
Well, you could look and see if there's Wi-Fi networks available.
Oh, no, they have they have Wi-Fi. Sure they do. Oh, yeah. You got to sign in and everything. Oh, yeah. Oh, they got Wi-Fi. People pick up dates at Whole Foods. It's a dating mecca. It's a meat market.
Really?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I didn't think that, just from somebody just objectively looking at it as a third party, I don't think the selection's that good.
Well, I heard about it from Tina.
It's kind of like the celery selection. It's really not that good.
Tina told me about this. I'd never paid attention to it. I've seen where they all sit down and, and they're using their laptops and they're drinking
in that
wine.
Little cafe.
Yes, in the cafe. Yeah, the cafe. That's where you got to be. Now, the rest is all yoga pants.
Well, the problem with I tell you, there's a real problem with the cafe. You have to eat their food.
Yeah, that is problematic.
Yes.
But I see women there all the time drinking, single guys drinking.
Hey, babe.
Like at 3 p.m, they're sitting in the little cafe drinking. And so, yeah, they got Wi-Fi because everyone's got their laptops and their phones out and they're all looking all important. So, anyway.
Yeah, there's nothing more. You can't look any more important than being in a free Wi-Fi area doing your work.
Yeah, you look super important. It's great. Well, while we're on food, we've had war on men. We've had war on straws. We have war on chicken. What other wars? War on cash. And now we finally have the war on milk.
The FDA is looking into a change that would mean no more soy milk or almond milk, at least not by those names. Commissioner Scott Gottlieb talked about the possibility of starting to enforce a federal standard that defines milk as coming from milking of one or more healthy cows. The National Milk Producers Federation says it agrees that plant-based dairy imitators violate federal standards with their label, but the Good Food Institute argues that the term milk should be permitted with modifiers for non-dairy drinks, hence the name soy milk or almond milk. The FDA would have to first notify companies of the change and ask for public comment.
We discussed this on the show some time back,
Mm-hmm.
and this is not really a war on milk. It's a war on the misuse of the word milk. And we've decided, I think then we agreed.
We
and
agree.
I think that it should be soybean juice.
Sap. I like sap better, if I recall.
Well,
soybean
I still
sap.
Like juice.
No, sap.
To see that juice would work in one of our clips. We don't have any see that sap.
No, we don't have a clip for it, but I'm sure we could find, someone will come up with a sap clip.
Oh my gosh. Can you see that juice?
And the other thing is it's not really sap. It's juice. Sap comes from the...
It's not really juice either. It's just water with chalk shavings. Come on. It's not juice. It's not. Juice comes from something you squeeze. You don't squeeze the almond. These things are just shavings.
That's true. You just make a slurry. Okay, then it should be called almond slurry. Because it's a slurry. That's what it is.
Slurry. It's a descriptor and a brand at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, slurry. Hey, everybody. Have you tried curry slurry? Oh, man. I wanted to restate my position on something.
Okay.
But don't mock me right away.
I'll wait.
It's about Bitcoin.
Oh.
And my argument about Bitcoin has always been, it's not money. And until I can pay my rent with it, it's not money. And I think that still holds true. Then, of course, some people, there's lots of things you can buy with Bitcoin, but I can't survive on Bitcoin alone. So it's not money. But I do think it's a doomsday machine. And as I've been studying, just so many conferences these days, Bitcoin, this, blockchain. And by the way, I think most other blockchain stuff, it has its place, but it's really completely separate from Bitcoin. And I noticed this myself when my daughter, she needed my credit card for some travel thing, and she only has a debit card, and they were hassling her about it. And she said, I'll pay you back. Just give me your bank details. I'm like, or my manager will pay you back, whatever it is. I'm like, no, please don't do that. It never works. It never arrives. There's always a problem. PayPal is the same. It's like, put a hold on you. Put a hold on your account. It's a big pain in the ass. So I said, just send it to me in Bitcoin. And, an hour later, I have it. Now, that to me was an eye-opener. I was like, there's a very complicated process that just got circumvented. And it was very easy for me. I have a Bitcoin, Coinbase, whatever account. So it was easy to turn that into dollars. And it was, there was less, if anything changed in the dollar to Bitcoin price at that moment, it was made up by the fact that there wasn't a $25 processing fee. So there's something to this. And, I think what has happened is Bitcoin has been misevangelized for 10 years. And the real power now I'm starting to see is twofold. One is it is absolutely storable. You can store value in this for a short period of time without much risk. And you can do things that are really quite impossible, which is transferring money across the world. So hands down, fantastic utility. The other thing that it does is it has a set built-in inflation schedule. So the way that Bitcoin, it does have inflation. When it first started 10 years ago, it was about 1,000%, and or a little the timeline is a little off, but about 1,000%. And now it's very consistent. It's gone down to 4.2% or around 4% inflation. But we will see this change as according to its inflation schedule, which is hard coded. It can't be manipulated by a central bank or by the Federal Reserve. It will change, and we will see I think a built-in increase in price as something called the halving takes place for those. And I don't think we have enough time or have enough knowledge to explain supply demand of something and how it can really affect the price when it comes to inflation and a currency or an asset. But built into Bitcoin, there can only be 21 million Bitcoins. And the closer we get to that number, the harder it is to create the actual Bitcoin, which is the next piece, which is important. If you look at history of items people have used for money, they've used anything that was scarce. So big round stones in a place that didn't have that type of marble or that type of stone. They've used glass beads, which worked great in the East, but then the travelers from the West made those beads at home, came over, and then the beads were kind of useless because people were, in effect, counterfeiting their money at the time. And eventually we came down to precious metals and gold and other things like diamonds. And there's lots of types of objects that you can store value in that people will recognize and accept. Not for cash, not as cash, not for buying a candy bar or anything like that, but for storing it, absolutely. Now, I think that as people like my daughter and her agent somehow, as they see the value of at least having some money in Bitcoin for simple things like a transaction, which really is like being part of the bank transaction network. I mean, that's very powerful when you consider if I want to transfer the money to her, or she transfers to me, first it goes to her bank and then it sits there. And then, they may actually decide, okay, we'll transfer these fake digits over there because it's such a small amount, or we trust the sender. But there's settlement, and that settlement takes place in the middle of the night, and there's all kinds of back and forth, and it's a very inefficient system. Banks now, too, are starting to use Bitcoin, and only not blockchain, not Ethereum or Ripple or anything else, but only Bitcoin, because the security of the network is so vast over these 10 years that it's been built up. You can actually trust that money, that value, significant identifier will transfer within a reasonable amount of time to you. I think that we will see at least one central bank decide to probably to start buying Bitcoin, and it may already be happening, but I think someone will announce it. It'll be some weird-ass country, and it could trigger everybody jumping onto this. Or, maybe the Federal Reserve would be interested as a hedge. Why not? They have gold. There's all kinds of different assets. I think it's now strong enough for them to do that. But if that happened, I think we move from a world where people are just use credit cards and debt all the time to a world where at least some money is put into Bitcoin because of two reasons. One, it's easy if I just need to transfer it somewhere or do something. It's not really good for illegal stuff because it is trackable. But at the same time, and I think this will prove true over time because of the inflation schedule, which I hadn't really understood very well, that the value of Bitcoin against the dollar, but against any currency, will consistently rise. It'll go up and down, but we'll see another big spurt after this, what do you have, 20,000? It could easily surpass that on the next spurt, but that probably won't happen until the end of 2019. And you and I, neither of you or I, unless quantum computing really hits big, will ever see the 21 million Bitcoins made because they're hard to make. So just like gold, you can find gold, you can mine gold, it's not a cheap process, and you can make money that way, but you can't just really go printing gold that easily. And Bitcoin is the same way. So I think that economies will move away from this debt system, and people will have some actual, it's still all virtual and just a concept, but they'll have this idea of money that they're actually saving instead of running on debt. And I think that could actually, when I say doomsday machine, blow up the entire way the central banking system functions. And I believe it's already underway.
Theremin.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think you'd be too into it.
Yeah, I could be into the thought that these bankers have been running the world for the last 500 years or plus.
Yeah,
are going to just be swept aside by this Satoshi, whatever his name is, product Bitcoin, because they're dumb, and they just soon give it up, so we can have this doomsday machine that you describe. I'm glad you went on about that. That was a very long spiel, I should say. But okay, whatever you think, I don't care.
Well,
what your real argument is, wow, I could get this money transfer without paying an extra $25.
Yes,
and all those inefficiencies of the way the banks work. The banks have been trying to fix it. Pop money, Zelle seems to work.
Yeah, but it doesn't work internationally.
There's international solutions.
No, there isn't. I would know. Oh, okay. Well, I'm not here to argue. I'm giving you my revised opinion.
I know what you said. You got your money. You got your money with no problem, and that's great. That's not meaning that's great. I think it's because the banks can't get their act together to get the money around because of various regulations. A lot of it has to do with that. And the U.S. government, you can't even open a bank account up overseas.
Okay, so here comes the second point. Why I like it. So let's say you just have some money stored in Bitcoin. The government can easily confiscate your house, your car. They can put garner your wages. There's a lot of things they can do to grab your assets. Bitcoin, ultimately, you can just store a number in your head and have no other way for anyone to take that away from you.
They can shoot you in the head.
Yeah, well, then it's gone. It's gone forever, and then it's no use to you either. I think that's a pretty big deal for someone who has had his wages garnered and bank accounts frozen.
All right, well, put your eggs in the Bitcoin basket then.
I'm going to run as the Bitcoin president. And I was going to ask you to be my VP.
I'm out.
Really? Come on. You get a nice house. All we have to do is the show and just follow the Constitution. And then the only policy change we make is we turn the Federal Reserve into a Bitcoin mining operation.
Mm-hmm. Theremin.
No. You already had one Theremin. So I'm changing my position. I think that it definitely has a future. I'm not sure where it fits in, but it has an actual, verifiable, and I use it future.
Good. I'm glad you feel that way. Let me write the show date down.
I didn't expect you to be all over it.
No, of course not. Sean Spicer came on Jimmy Kimmel to change the subject radically.
Oh, yes. Is his book out or another book or what is he out?
He's got a book out. And Kimmel decides to he does a pretty soft job of it, but he insults him.
Where is it? I don't see it here.
Kimmel, Spicer.
Ah, okay. I was looking for Spicer Kimmel. That's my problem.
I like my mom, my dad, and my wife have been my strongest advocates and supporters. And I think there were clearly times where she felt, felt for me in a way that only a mother can.
Did she ever say, go in there and tell that son of a bitch Trump to stop making you lie?
My mother would never speak like that.
She would never speak that
Oh, God.
Yeah. Meanwhile, another it's kind of a counterbalance to that clip was, Stephen Cohen doesn't get a lot of airtime and he doesn't get on CNN much. He'll probably never be back. But Seymour Hersh also kind of disappeared from the scene. He was blackballed.
He was a Pulitzer Prize-winning, highly decorated investigative
he's
journalist.
One of the great. He's a role model investigative journalist. But he came on something and he just threw a commentary out. I believe this was on CNN or or maybe not. But I thought this was worth listening to.
I think the days I worked were much simpler days. Now we have something called cable news, 24-hour news, and which is so easily manipulated by the White House and by others, particularly people in Congress with one axe to grind. And so now you have really no independent news. My view is that for disliking Trump is catnip for the cable news companies, MSNBC and CNN, who are hostile to him. On the other side, you have Fox News, which is friendly to him. You have the major papers in New York, in Washington, the Times and the Post, good newspapers, but very hostile to Trump and jumping on everything he says. So you really have, it's good for ratings.
Build a cyber wall.
Yeah, it's great for ratings. And I think everyone's talking about Bob Woodward's book. We should be seeing him everywhere pretty soon.
Yeah, I don't think the CIA has finished writing it yet.
Let me see. What is it called again? It's why can't I find it here? Oh yes, here it is. White House braces for new Woodward book. Now, Bob Woodward, one of the co-author who brought down Nixon with the Watergate scandal. That's why people love this. The title of the book is Fear Trump in the White House. Great. And what was I reading? There's some article about the media, about the press, and that pretty much everybody who is in media now today grew up with Woodward and Bernstein, and they all got into journalism wanting to be them. Would that fit the description based on the people you know?
No, I think that's not true. I think those people are already passed by for the new millennials that are in journalism, and they're post Watergate, and many of them don't even know what Watergate's about. And none of them would get the movie, which was one of the greatest movies, anyone who remembers that era, the movie Dick.
Oh, yes, we watched that. That was good. That was a good movie.
It's a very good movie.
Yeah.
And today's millennials and people that are working in the business right now in the journalism, because there's not that many oldsters left. They all went into public relations, writing native ads.
I'm sorry. There's no difference in those two paths.
No, it's the same path, but they're in public relations, so they're told what they're told what to write in a different way.
Yeah, it's just a different style, but it's still the same infrastructure.
And so the people currently working, I believe 90% of them would not get the movie Dick.
Is it Newswire, PR Newswire? Maybe that's where the story came from. PR Newswire, which I always thought was just shady operation. Apparently, they only look shady on the web. They always had these really horrible press releases, and I remember years ago on the show, I'd be like, "Oh, where'd you read this?" Oh, it's a PR Newswire. Oh well. Well, PR Newswire really feeds AP and Reuters and all these other guys, and I'll have to dig up this article. It's some high number of 75 or 80% of all news stories you read come through PR Newswire.
I don't believe that for a minute. I think PR Newswire is huge, and they produce so much copy that a lot of news stories do get picked up from these, what I think are many times lame news. These are classic old public relations news releases, which always require, which has way too much input from the company, requiring that our CEO needs to be quoted stuff. So you have a gratuitous quote from the CEO because he needs to be quoted. I think a lot of stuff comes, that stuff all gets pulled out and it all gets completely rewritten. But I don't believe that number. The 75%.
Well, and I was trying to see if I could find this interview with, I guess it was one of the founders of PR Newswire. It's a lot more than that. They have all these other divisions.
It's a huge operation.
Yeah.
Huge operation.
Well, the only reason I bring it up is I believe that is really the genesis of today's journalism, where, okay, here's these stories that are fed to us. The stories come in. We used to have fact checkers. We've talked about this. They really don't exist anymore. I've been fact checked by the New York Times maybe twice. The last time was when the iPhone came out, when a fact checker called me to ask some questions. There is no budget anymore for the fact checkers. So most of that goes, checked against Wikipedia or some other online sources by an intern. And we move to today's journalists who have kind of been trained this way. Fact checking no wonder everyone made such a big deal about fact checking, because they don't actually do it anymore. And now that's been outsourced to a whole bunch of groups who are going to be the bastions of truth, including Tucker Carlson's Daily Caller Foundation. Like, screw all those guys telling us what's true and what's not true. So now the new place to get your news from, instead of PR Newswire, that's the old generation, is Twitter. And that's why we're seeing all this bullshit in the news. It's just, there's an outrage, we grab it, we make it into a news story. Good example here. This is the baseball story.
We live in times of instant mass outrage. Someone does something, says something, or is seen doing something, and they can be demonized with a click. The next time you might be tempted, think of this. In the fourth inning of Sunday's game between the Chicago Cubs and St. Louis Cardinals,
I want to point out another sports story from Adam Curry. Yeah.
The Cubs first base coach tossed a foul ball to a smiling youngster in the stands who wore a Cubs hat endearingly too large for him. The kid bobbled the baseball. What people saw next in video clips that zapped around the world was a man with close-cropped hair who sat behind the boy, scoop up the baseball, and give it to the woman next to him. Tweets and other social media posts began a barrage about the man who filched a foul ball from a little boy. There could be no doubt. We saw it. The Cubs front office quickly dispatched a staffer down to the seats. He gave the youngster a new ball signed by Javi Baez, the Cubs shortstop. The little boy smiled into the brim of his boat-sized hat and held up 2 baseballs. The Cubs tweeted the photo to say a Javi Baez signed ball should take care of it. What the Cubs discovered from people nearby was that the man in question wound up with 4 balls during the game and gave 3 to children, including the young man who had appeared to be swindled. He also gave one to his wife. It was their anniversary. Julian Green of the Cubs said in a statement, unfortunately, a video that was quickly posted and unverified has made a national villain out of an innocent man. The man doesn't want to be identified, but said through the team, many foul balls came our way that day and were happily shared among the children in our area. No one left disappointed. I am not that guy that the media and social media made me out to be.
And I saw the video and I thought the same thing. I thought, oh, geez, what a douchebag. But this was big. I mean, everybody reported on this. And oh, by the way, where's the retraction? Kudos to NPR for doing that.
Well, there's no such thing as a retraction on Twitter.
No, but it went from Twitter to mainstream publications. You see, this is how it works. The journalists sit around trolling on Twitter, waiting for something to happen. They look at trending, refresh. Oh, there's something going on. Oh, it's with Trump, even better. Oh, let's report on it right away. Fact check. That's what's going on.
No, well, hopefully it's not what's going on the way you describe it, but they do pay attention to Twitter. It's like, it's a news feed.
I was thinking about news feed. If your email worked like Twitter's news feed, you would shoot yourself in the head. Seriously.
Okay, well, explain.
What, you're looking at your news feed, all of a sudden an old email pops up? Oh, wait, there's an email from someone who didn't send the email to me, but it was posted there because someone who I know received the email, so I got a copy. No, why does email work? Because it's one feed, one inbox, chronological order. Oh, it's somewhere down there. Yeah, somewhere Tuesday. You see the difference?
It's a huge difference.
Yeah, and it's so.
Well, one is a method of communication. The other one's a method of mass micro-blogging by the public at large, to which you either subscribe to or don't.
But time, the essence of time is what people, it's the only thing we really have in our heads is we understand to some degree time. And an overview of something. No, I think that the what Twitter has done, and they're really messing around with their feed now, is stupid. They're going to end up like Facebook. People are going to hate it. It's going to end.
People are going to hate it. People are flocking away. Facebook's going to go under next week.
That's right.
Are you crazy?
I don't know about
that much.
It's not going to go under. What do you mean Facebook's going to go under next? What are you saying?
I mean, the way you're saying, people are bailing out. They hate it. You're the only guy I know who's bailed out. And I'm still not convinced you're not going to go back.
Well, I'm seeing a different trend.
Yeah, because you're bailing out, and you're like this. Unlike me, you're like the guy who gave up smoking. And although you're not this type, but you're like the guy when it comes to Facebook. Maybe you are, but you're like the guy who gives up smoking and then makes a big fuss, or a guy who gives up alcohol is even worse. Makes a big fuss over everybody who didn't give it up, or still drinks, or still smokes. That's the way you are with Facebook. You quit Facebook, and now you see it all as negative, and you're just projecting your hate.
No, you're projecting your bullshit on me right now, because I am just informing you of things I'm seeing and trending. It has nothing to do with what my personal belief is about Facebook. Okay, well, I'll not talk about it. The show will be 10 minutes shorter, douche.
No, you hate Facebook, and now you're hating on Twitter.
I'm not hating on Twitter. I'm telling you that they're changing things that are detrimental to what they do. That's a legitimate statement. It has nothing to do with I hate Facebook. And I resent you saying that, honestly.
Well, I'm sorry you resent that, but you don't like Facebook.
But you view me through the filters that you are, my friend, so I'll leave it at that.
Well, I've never used Facebook, so I don't really know.
No, fine.
When it comes to Twitter, I use Twitter a lot, and I don't see any changes. I think it's the same crappy system it's always been. They don't take it. They leave. They kind of. The only thing I've seen actually is people like Devin Nunes and these people that used to just subvert by bouncing them and putting a clown bozo filter on them. I'm now seeing their feeds.
Hold on a second. I just need to put my Q glasses on. I feel better that way. Go ahead. Continue.
I'm seeing an improvement in the kind of feeds I get on Twitter. I think they've fixed some of their problems, or at least they've covered them up in a positive way.
Okay. Great.
Okay, so?
No, nothing so. I mean, I'm theremin. I'm just a
theremin has a
someone
lot
who
to do
stopped
with it.
smoking and is just angry and pointing it out.
Yeah.
No, that's not. It's not true.
All right.
But okay.
Change the subject then.
No, you please go ahead. Let's hear your fabulous things you have brought today.
I got nothing.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
All right, we have a few people to thank for the show. 1056, including, I've got a note from this guy. Duke Anonymous. Let's see, Duke named Benonymous. He says, I've been something of a douchebag due to an extended gap in employment. He is a Duke. So I must atone for it with a magic number donation. 161.79. Thanks for sending me down the rabbit hole. I learned so much just listening to you two. I was delightful to discover the amazing properties of pi, and how it ties the universe together. The donation drought was due to my wife losing her nursing job in 2017. She was out of work for over 6 months, and she earns twice as much money as me. I was forced to change jobs to increase our cash flow, but things have definitely improved these days. Now she's working at a much less stressful job, making more money than her previous gig. And even though commute still sucks, we both certainly are better off than before. He goes on with his job background. He says he was very impressed with your meticulous deconstruction of the Peter Strzok testimony, particularly because it revealed that his mobile device management policies I administer on my network are far more stringent than what is enforced at the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Frankly, is it appalling that the FBI even allows its staff to use personal smartphones for work? In our network, we lock down all company-issued phones, so we not only block users from installing unapproved apps or games on the devices, we can track their usage, monitor text messaging, and wipe the phone clean if it's ever lost or stolen. If a user wants to use their personal smartphone to access work email, they must first enroll their device with a company portal. I know the guys like this. We knew a guy like this. We maintain that all company data is isolated in a secure encrypted container. He goes on about bitching about these guys.
Hey.
Why is the Justice Department of the United States government using weaker security policies than our little 1,300 user network? Anyway.
Phi, not pi. Phi.
Phi.
P-H-I. Phi 16179. Was that the donation?
Yeah.
It's the golden ratio.
Ah, right.
Yeah. Just an old Facebook angry man over here, Don. What do I know?
Hey, get off it. Jonathan Hess in Heidelberg, Deutschland. 10101. Thanks for the sanity. No jingles, no karma. Two anonymous donations, both for $100 for some reason. One in Baltimore. Keep my donation anonymous from Baltimore. Here's a nice hundo for your hard work. Anonymous 100. Please keep me anonymous. Okay. Jeez. You know, you can do $249.99 donations, and that's a guarantee. This is no guarantee. Sir Chuck, Nomadic Knight of the 49th Parallel, also $100. Huh. I'm contributing $100. Thank you for both for the entertaining and informative job. Baron Latikin, Sir Fack Bass in Houston, Texas, $100. He's going to get a title change.
He becomes a baronet today. Baronet Yanamin? Yanamin. Good for me.
Michael DeLozier in Merville, Tennessee, 9009, which is the Perky Boobs donation.
My favorite. Boing, boing, boing.
We actually have three, and then there should be combinations, which makes it fun.
Wait, this is the palindrome though. Perky boobs.
All the boob donations are palindromes.
Right. But you specifically asked for a palindrome in the newsletter.
Yeah, because of the one coming up, 81.18. It was the date of the newsletter.
Right. So these are not just perky boobs. These are calls to action. Am I missing something?
Yeah, it's calls to action. Women, wear a bra.
No. You said do a palindrome. Here's the donation, 8118.
Yeah, he did a palindrome.
Yeah.
Okay. And he did say it. He says also a palindrome. So he was referring to the 8118 with a little extra money. No, he's the only one, by the way. Morgan Neck, but these people did donate 8118. It was another gimmick. Morgan Neck, Robert Cohen, Heilko Santima in
Santama in Houghton.
You want some job karma? We can get that at the end for you. And then we got this huge note, which I'm not going to read.
From Debo. That's Debo from Toledo.
Yeah, Debo from Toledo. Hugs and kisses. Was hit in the mouth by a fellow X-ray technician about 2 years ago.
Aaron,
but he needs a de-douching.
Okay.
You've been de-douched.
Okay, well, that would be nice if I put that in there and then the cursor worked. Al Aversa in Charles City County, Virginia, 8118. You got 10 people that did this. Robert Dieter in Sacramento, California. Sir Leiron of Circletown, Dothan, Alabama. This fine newsletter compels me to donate. Sir Kevin McLaughlin, Viscount of the Moon in Norcust, in Locust, North Carolina. Gabriel Gabrielson.
Oh, wait. He has Sir Kevin McLaughlin, Viscount of the Moon.
Yeah.
He wants an F cancer for his Uncle Huey. So we'll do that at the end.
Okay, good. Paul Gabrielson, 8118. Sir Gott Nate in Sebastopol, 6969. Jason Sparks in Reynoldsburg, Ohio, 6006. To the small boobs. and so says Mary Bruff, 6006 in Wheat Ridge, Colorado.
And she needs test-taking karma today, coming up.
Anthony Rodriguez in Faber, Virginia, 6006. Yeah. Okay, same thing.
Yeah.
Constantine Theophilus in Woodstock, Illinois, 5556.
And needs
Stephen
jobs
Lind,
karma, which we'll have for him. Jobs karma.
5556 from Stephen Lind. 5555 from Robert Bruckner. 5555 from Pete Federici.
Jobs karma coming.
I don't know what all these 5555s are about. Carl Madden, 5555 from Enfield, UK. He's got a birthday coming up. Sir Bob, of the dude's name Ben. Birthday. Yeah. Is Carl Madden on the birthday list?
Yeah, he sure is.
Sir Bob, of the dude's name Ben. NC4RG, 73.
73s. Kilo 5 Alpha Charlie.
Echo Mike, 5335. Mike Martinez, 5111. And finally, the $50 donors, including name and location, Bradley Ledden, Jason Van Buskirk, Caleb Crossman in Salem, Oregon, Black Knight Sir Lineman of the Net Raleigh Hawk. Black Knight Sir Lineman of the Net Raleigh Hawk. I can't remember. That's from Anna, Illinois. Tyler Schimpf in Bothell, Washington. Luke Barnes in Salem, Oregon. Don't inhale him. Michael Barco in Salem, Oregon. Again, different guy, both in Salem. That's interesting.
Hey, Luke Barnes, I'm just reading his note here. Sadly, this will be my first and most likely last donation, at least for some time. I recently purchased a house, and I'm a full-time college student, so money is tight. No kidding, you could have 2 houses and more time on your hands. And he wants a de-douching, so I'm going to just give him a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
Michael Barco, we mentioned. Oystenberger,
yeah.
In Netherlands.
Yep.
John Horner in Bay, St. Louis, Mississippi. Sir Brian Watson in Raleigh, North Carolina. And last but not least, Oakland's Sir Alan Bean. I want to thank all these folks for helping us out on show 1056.
Yeah, good showing, everybody. Thank you very much. This is our value for value model. We've been doing it for a while. It's a grand experiment, and so far it's been working. We're still on the air. Everybody provides value to the network. That is no agenda one way or the other, and we cannot do it without the financial donations. It's really the easiest way. And just send whatever you think the show is worth to you. That's always been our position, and we appreciate how much people appreciate it. And another show coming up on Sunday. Remember us at Dvorak.org/NA. Okay, we got lots of karmas to deal with here today.
You've got karma.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
And here's your list for today. It is August 2nd, 2018. Sir Bob of the dude's name, Ben, celebrated on July 30th. He's also known as November Charlie for Romeo Golf. Carl Madden turns 52 today. And we say happy birthday in advance to Jennifer, a.k.a. Viking Mom, and executive producer on today's program. She will turn 40 on August 17th. Happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe.
It's your birthday, yeah. Title changes. Turn and face the slave. Title changes. Don't want to be a douchebag.
Sir Fact Bass, just came in with another donation that brought him up to level of baronet on our peerage map, so he will henceforth be known as Baronet Yanamean, Yahnahmean, Yanamean, and we congratulate him with that and thank him profusely for his contributions to the No Agenda Show. And then we need to mention we've got 2 meetups happening. We have August 10th in Seattle, Washington from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Vaughn's 1000 Spirits. Sounds like a drinking hole to me. Downtown Seattle. Are you familiar with this establishment?
No, but it's going to be, I think if you go to, Mimi's got something set up. I'm going to send a mailing out. I'll mention in the next newsletter. We'll have some details.
Yeah, meetup.com, I think. She's really taken over the group. What happened? All of a sudden she's in. Boom, she's taking care of business.
I don't know. Maybe we're not making enough money. I have no idea, but she did do that, and she's got these things posted there. I don't like meetup.com.
No one seems to really like it.
Because, for one thing, they do cutoffs and that you don't want. Like, for example, I don't think you need to RSVP for these things. I think you just show up. There's a big one in Washington, D.C., I think you're about to mention.
Yes.
That is apparently going to have 45 people or something for some reason.
Well, half the CIA is going to be there.
Well, let's hope so.
It's in Arlington, actually. In Arlington, Virginia, August 12th from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. at Lyon Hall. Lyon, Lyon Hall. What is this, Lyon Hall?
They had a lot of RSVPs, like a lot.
Huh.
And I just don't. These things, generally speaking, get about 20 people, 25 people. Sounds about right for the little area because this is not a national meetup.
Right.
And I don't know that we have that many people. I don't see donations. How many donations we had today from Washington D.C.? None.
We often have one or two from Arlington. Maybe from time to time one from
Richmond, Virginia comes in, but that doesn't count. Richmond's not a CIA area.
Well, here, let me sort. Check it out. This will be cool. Okay, how do I sort? Can I just right-click and say sort? No, of course not.
Yeah, of course that would be make too much sense.
How the hell do I know? Thanks, Microsoft. I don't know how to do this. Data? I mean, where's sort?
Never mind. You're never going to get it.
I'm never going to find it.
Just scroll down and you can maybe see a Virginia.
Well, we had Faber, Virginia. That's one.
Is that anywhere near That's the only one that I can see.
Did we have another? I thought we had another Arlington.
What about Maryland? Where's Maryland? We got no Maryland.
Not really. No. Fairfax, Virginia.
No, that would count.
Yeah, that definitely counts.
And Strasburg, Virginia. Best show ever. I won't say who it is because it's $20, but they're down at the bottom. There's a few.
Oh, okay. So, what do we know?
Well, we'll see, won't we?
Well, hey,
there's just stuff in the ballot box.
I was going to say, hey, Virginia, step it up. If there's so many of them, I mean, Canadia's beating you.
Oh yeah, Canadian beats Virginia usually on every show.
Yeah,
just BC.
And Tina the Keeper is working on the Austin, Texas meetup. It seems consensus is Saturday. A lot of people will be flying in. A lot of people travel. Some people said, we really want it to be Friday. Then we have the whole weekend. It's like, no. Look, it's just going to be a few hours on Saturday. And we're thinking maybe one of these cool beer places. What do you call them?
You got plenty of beer places in Austin.
Yeah, beer place. Yeah.
Now, the reason for doing Friday, we're doing Friday because there's two arguments that go on every time you want to do Friday or Saturday. The Friday argument, which I had in Sacramento when I did it on Friday, was, hey, we're here. We commute to work. We're in Sacramento. We're in the city. We can do Friday. If it's Saturday, we got to come all the way from home, which could be an hour drive away, and it's just not. We're not going to do it. But we're already here. We're in Sacramento. So Friday's the argument is that people that are there don't have to go home, and then Saturday the problem is. I don't know what the problem is with Saturday, except they don't want to come in. So we try both. What's Washington, D.C.? Is that Saturday or Friday?
I only have the...
That would logically be Friday.
What's August 12th? Let me just check on the calendar. August 12th is Sunday.
Oh.
That's a very interesting. We wouldn't think of Sunday as a meetup day if we were going to attend, obviously.
No, we do a show on Sunday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's right. Yeah. They said they may be listening to the show as a group on Sunday.
Oh, okay. Nice.
That'd be kind of cool.
Very nice. Okay.
Algos, and more algos. We're all gonna die!
Well, in this case, it might actually be true. What is the largest commercial algo you've ever heard of that is being sold as genius?
The one-click buy on Amazon?
No. Watson, of course.
What Watson was designed to do was to give practicing oncologists recommendations at the point of care to treat patients who are in front of them. And according to IBM, at least in its marketing, these recommendations were supposed to be based on its analysis of real patient data. These internal documents that we reviewed found, in fact, that was not the case. The way the system was trained was hypothetical scenarios, and recommendations were being fed into it by doctors at Memorial Sloan Kettering who were basically inputting their own preferences for treatment. Doctors on the other end of that who were using the system were finding that the recommendations just were not very valuable or relevant in the care of the patients.
Or in some cases, it looks like in your writing, they could have been harmful. One patient who was hemorrhaging, who was bleeding, Watson recommended a medication that you're not supposed to give when somebody's bleeding.
In some cases, the recommendations that were put out through the system were inaccurate, had no foundation in clinical guidelines, and in some cases were found to be unsafe or dangerous to patients.
But has anybody died from this or had a negative outcome from Watson's recommendations?
That we know, nobody has been harmed as a result of the recommendations. Watson gives recommendations, and they're designed to be used in concert with a physician who would consider them and decide whether or not to put them in place for a patient. So we don't have any evidence that as a result of any of its recommendations, a physician has been led down the wrong path and given a patient treatment that's been harmful. Mm-hmm. But what's clear is that in the case of the use of this technology, IBM is essentially experimenting with it in real time.
Following the algos, following the algos. Following the algos.
I think our stock tip of the day is to short IBM.
Well, I wouldn't give a stock tip like that because they do other stuff. But this thing has been a scam since the get-go when they were on the Jeopardy show. And the reason it had all the answers, true, but it got them right. But it had to jump on hitting the button.
Yeah, of course it did. Of course.
So you say the answer as soon as they ask the question, boom! It's just the instant button hit because there's no hand movement to go down and slam the button. There's nothing physical, and so that was it should have been discounted.
Yeah, well, it wasn't. But now it's making very incorrect recommendations.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
And to have your flagship product, consumer-facing flagship product, to be labeled as experimenting in real time with people's health, I don't think that's a good look.
Say the least.
Okay, that's why I'm...
Well, they lied to us then because they didn't just have one bunch of guys from Sloan Kettering.
What?
I have the story, I think, that may be something to watch.
Okay.
Now, this is, we had the dog. We know about the dogs. Dogs.
You mean dogs being people, too?
Yeah, and dogs being everywhere and too many dogs. There's dogs everywhere. It's unbelievable. The dog walking, the whole thing. Now, this is a very strange story. This is the weird dog saliva disease.
When he gets out, Greg Manteifel wants to drive his motorcycle again. His wife, Dawn, is hopeful prosthetic technology can make that possible.
Little things in life, it's like you take for granted, I guess.
In late June, what appeared to be a simple flu turned into something much more frightening.
He just exploded into bruises and swelling, and he just became worse.
Doctors told them Greg was having complications from an infection, later discovered to have come from a bacteria found in dog saliva.
We counted about 8 dogs that he probably came across. He doesn't want anybody to think he doesn't love dogs anymore. He loves his dog. He wants to see his dog. I mean, because it's not the dog's fault. It was just some crazy thing that happened.
Now, without both legs, both hands, and surgeries still ongoing, Dawn says the man she loves is battling back with an unflagging spirit.
Yeah, what is the story here? I read this.
The dog licks the guy.
Yeah.
But where did he lick him in the nose and a cut? We don't know. But he got licked. The next thing he knows, he loses both arms and both legs.
Sorry, I'm laughing.
The only thing I can think of that would cause this and all the bruising, all the rest, it really does sound like leprosy.
But that was extreme case then. How long did it take before he was between the lick and the chop?
Well, they don't explain that. They don't explain why it wasn't stopped. They don't explain why it wasn't given antibiotics immediately. They don't explain anything in this story except the dog licked the guy and then he lost his arms and legs and in what sounds like leprosy. Now, it's possible that dogs carry leprosy. There's something going on with the story.
Good meme. Maybe it's time for some vaccinations for our dogs. There's a market.
There's a big market.
Huge market.
Either that or it's the cat lobby. I'm not sure who's behind this story.
The cat lobby. You know, I don't have to Bing it. I'm sure there is one. I'm sure there is a lobby for cats.
Anyway, we have to keep tabs on this because this story's not going away.
I'm liking the vaccination angle.
I think I'm not going to argue it because the vaccination, if they figure out what it is. Yeah, dogs, yeah. Then it's just a scam. And there's the word.
Dame Tanya, Viscountess of New York City, sent us a personal dog note. No agenda memes keep popping up, I realize, because you guys spot these things a mile away. This past weekend, I went to the wedding of a millennial couple, and their dog walked down the aisle with the groom and both of his parents and was part of the wedding party. It was a dog-themed reception with each table named after the couple's friends' dogs.
Oh, my God.
Dogs are people, too.
That jingle apparently triggers dogs worldwide whenever we play it.
No, it's probably because of the barking.
You think?
All right, here's another one. This is it's kind of a sad story, but this is like the naive. I don't know I really don't want to say anything bad about this story or about these people or about anything. I mean, I think it was probably a great idea at the time. Sounds like a good idea and everybody appreciated it. But this is the American bikers who were killed in Tajikistan.
ISIS has been decimated, but it is still active, not only in Iraq and Syria, but farther east in Central Asia, where the group says it killed an American couple that was bike riding around the world. Here's Chip Reed.
A little more than a year ago, Jay Austin and Lauren Gagan gave up their comfortable office jobs in Washington, D.C., he with the federal government, she with Georgetown University, for the adventure of a lifetime, traveling the world by bicycle. On their website, Simply Cycling, they chronicled their adventures as they pedaled thousands of miles through Africa, Europe, and Central Asia. Austin wrote of bumpy roads, strong headwinds, and tough challenges, but also of the freedom to see some amazing places, meet some wonderful people, and spend lots and lots of time with a really lovely girl. The dream for the 29-year-old couple ended suddenly Sunday in Tajikistan, near the border with Afghanistan, when they and two European cyclists were killed by suspected terrorists who ran into them with a car, then attacked them with knives. 3 other Europeans in the group were injured. ISIS, whose membership has been growing in recent years in predominantly Muslim Tajikistan, claimed responsibility for the attack. Tajik authorities say police tracked down the 5 suspects and killed 4 of them.
Yeah, this has been filmed apparently, although I haven't seen the video.
Well,
they hit the bikers first, and then they got out of the car and started stabbing them.
Yeah,
that's messed up.
And I'm thinking, bicycling in the wine country of France through, or down the Rhone Valley is one thing. But bicycling
in Tajikistan
or anything, that's like this, it's just, I don't know, maybe I'm just conservative, but it just seems like it doesn't seem safe.
No.
And it's not.
No. It's sad. The whole story is sad, but it's also confusing. I'd like to know why. What's the point? Why did they do this? Did ISIS claim it?
Yeah. ISIS. The story goes on. ISIS did claim it.
Did they say why?
No, they don't. Just because of.
I mean, what? Since when is Tajikistan?
They hate bicycles. I don't know. Maybe they.
There's your future right there. It started off with a podcast about hating bicycles, and before you know it, they were mowing them down in the streets.
I've got another one of these stories. A voter ID story is presented. This is the voter ID story as presented by CBS.
Yeah, I don't know how much of a story this is.
President Trump says he wants to require all voters to.
Well, yeah, it's just immigration blather, right?
No, this is because Trump said, okay, there's a big
about him saying you need an ID to buy groceries.
Yeah, even though it was very vague, and he's just talking to one of his audiences, one of the big rallies where he just says all kinds of stuff, and so everyone jumped on it like he's an idiot.
All right.
President Trump says he wants to require all voters to show a photo ID when they go to the polls. The president was in Tampa, Florida last night for a rally ahead of the state's primary this month. Mr. Trump pushed for voter ID by making an erroneous comparison with grocery shopping.
If you go out and you want to buy groceries, you need a picture on a card. You need ID. You go out and you want to buy anything, you need ID and you need your picture.
A photo ID is only required for buying certain items such as alcohol, cigarettes, and certain medications. With more on the president's remarks, we want to bring in CBS News White House correspondent Weijia Jiang. Hi, Weijia. Critics argue voter ID laws disproportionately affect minorities and poorer populations. Is that a concern for the president, or is all of this just playing to his base?
Well, that is not a concern. That is a concern that critics have when the president continues to bring up this issue, which is not new for him. In fact, he adopted this line of attack on the campaign trail, and he claimed that 3 to 5 million people voted illegally in the 2016 election, and he made those claims without any evidence, and to this day has yet to provide it. But critics say, in fact, when you look at different studies that have been made, in fact, one from the NYU Law School that really examined the number of fraud cases during the election, it was 35.
Bull crap.
Oh, please. What was
35.
this?
35. You're telling me in the entire U.S. election there were 35, and that's it?
The problem is that there is no verification when you register. That's really where the problem begins. There is no centralized database, and there's a whole bunch of reasons for that. There's no verification when you say, yes, of course I'll register. And in fact, the motor voter registration drive, college kids pushing at schools, hey, just register. Yeah, but I'm not a citizen. Just register anyway. And then you get signed up, you go, they say, you're registered, you're good to go. There's no check anywhere. Yeah. So I think I don't understand why we're all about this ID. Let's just do that with the registration process. That's where I think it would be best solved. Is make sure that's when you have to prove your citizenship. And that can be done in a number of ways. And then you can show up with no ID, I guess, which is the case. Not exactly the case, but
kind of the case.
Kind of. I think that's where the problem is.
Well, it's definitely one of the problems.
Dead
people voting is another one.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's more than 35 dead people who voted.
To me, it's shocking that the registration process has no verification. I mean, it makes no sense. It doesn't seem like it would be really hard to cross-reference that. And you don't need to know what party someone's registered as. If you registered, okay, check. Done. That's it. And then, cross-reference with the dead file. I mean, there's a master file for that, too, of dead people. How can this be so hard? And the answer is there's a lot of people who don't want it. And I think that's probably because illegal votes are votes. Illegal votes are votes too. So I don't think it behooves anybody. And if you had to go through too much rigmarole, it's just less people going to turn. Actually, it seems like a great idea for politicians. Don't they want less people turning out? The fewer, the better?
Depends. Depends. Some people want a lot of fake votes. If I'm running and I can get all the fake votes, hey,
yeah,
I'm all for it.
Good to go.
No voter registration, no nothing. Let's just vote.
All right.
Vote me in.
Final clip for me is I have some. I want to provide some feedback since I understand these situations, and this guy needs to shut up and stop over dramatizing his life. This is Jim Acosta.
Oh, geez, what is with this guy?
Now, we probably all saw the video of him on his little podium there at the Trump rally, and people surrounding him saying CNN sucks.
Yeah, that's good.
But just from your observation, did that seem like a lynch mob to you, an angry mob, or did it seem like people who were just having a good time saying that you suck?
I think it was people having a good time saying that you suck.
Yeah,
if it was a lynch mob, the guy had been knocked down.
Exactly.
Has become one of the president's favorite human punching bags. CNN chief White House correspondent Jim Acosta. Jim, we've seen your videos, and I've been to these events too. I've met with countless Trump supporters. Even I was shocked at the level of vitriol that was aimed your way last night. Give us an idea of what it felt like to be in the middle of it.
Well, Essie, I mean, honestly, it felt like we weren't in America anymore. I don't know how to put it any more plainly than that. Americans should not be treating their fellow Americans in this way. But unfortunately, what we've seen, and this has been building for some time since the campaign, I've been talking about this as an issue since the campaign, when the president during the campaign referred to us as the dishonest media, the disgusting news media, liars, scum, and thieves, and so on, and then he rolled that right into office and started calling us fake news and the enemy of the people. He is whipping these crowds up into a frenzy to the point where they really want to come after us. And we have these bike rack like barriers around the press cage, as we call it, to protect us essentially from people who might take things too far. It's unfortunate because, and I try to calmly talk to a lot of these folks at the rally last night to say, listen, hey, tell me what you want to talk about here. Why are you guys so upset with us? And they would kind of go through a list of questions. Most of the questions were about, why don't you guys report positive news about the president? And I said, hey, you know what? We do that. We were reporting on this positive job numbers in the economy last Friday. And my sense of it, Essie, is that that these opinions that these folks have at these rallies, they're shaped by what they see in the primetime hours of Fox News and what they hear from some conservative news outlets that just sort of give them this daily diet of what they consider to be terrible things that we do over here at CNN. It's very unfortunate, but it's a pitting of American against American, and honestly, it needs to stop.
Okay, Jim Acosta, you're a whiny little bitch. Man, I've been in this situation. You know what? You scared little man of people calling saying CNN sucks. Did you really feel scared? Try MTV Spring Break. Okay? Stand up in the middle of spring break and have people going, Metallica, man, play more Metallica. It was a sport to throw beer on my hair to get it to go flat. It was a fucking sport during spring break.
Do you have any video of that?
Oh, there's tons of it. The Budweiser boat. I'm flatlining on my hair like Mona Lisa. And I had some hair back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
This is what happens when it doesn't matter. Come on, you stand up.
I didn't realize this was going on, man. It's American against American.
Americans need to stop doing that, bro. It's really horrible.
That's what you should have said. You should have gotten on the mic and said exactly what Acosta said. That would go over.
Hey, don't do that. Americans against Americans, you got to stop it. And you know what the response would be? Metallica! I know exactly how
they've been
that
throwing the cans at you.
Yeah. I mean, beer. I've had so much beer thrown on me. It's what happens. It's when people are all jacked up. It's like, get used to it. Oh, this drama. This drama. It's, what a douche.
Costa's not very good, but he is good at complaining.
That he's good at, yeah. And framing, complaining and framing.
Yeah, framing. I do have the dignity. This is a funny story. This is in Philadelphia. One of the you have to just play this. The Dignity safety glass clip, which has gotten everybody all bent out of shape for pretty good reason.
Controversial bill is currently working its way through City Hall, designed to regulate stop-and-go liquor stores. Now, one part of the bill would force business owners to take down bulletproof glass inside their stores. Here's the question. At what cost to their safety? Fox 29's Jeff Cole's live at City Hall. Jeff.
Lucy, that is exactly the question. In a city that struggles with gun violence, there is a bill going through City Hall here that would take down some of the plexiglass. Now, merchants say this is a question of safety. A city councilwoman says no, it's dignity for her constituents.
Wait. Explain this to me. What's going on here?
Okay, we're in the inner city. The worst part of a city, the inner city, which is just, poor people in a liquor store where they're selling, probably shouldn't even be there, selling liquor to people who shouldn't be drinking. Mm-hmm. And it's like and they get robbed all the time. They're constantly getting robbed. And these are Korean stores. Mm-hmm. The only people that will serve this community are Koreans. And they build it like a slight fortress. So you go in there, there's a bunch, you can't shoot the guy and steal his money. You can't get in. You can't get past all these, this plexiglass, and they ask for a bottle of booze or something. It gets delivered through a hole, and so you can't go in and rob the place because before the plexiglass was put up, they got robbed all the time, and people get killed in some of these stores. Yeah. See it all the time.
It's like New York taxi cabs have a hole.
So yes, exactly. So they put the plexiglass up and serve this community. And this woman, who's a black woman who is now being accused of being racist against the Koreans, which is a reasonable argument, but probably not the real reason. She makes this claim that it's an insult to the people who shop there, and it's a affront to their dignity, and this stuff should come down. Is the kind of dummies that run these cities nowadays.
A racist plexiglass. I like it.
Yeah.
Outrage! That's what it's all about. Get your outrage.
National attention, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, well. Outrage does wonders.
Outrage.
And that is our program for today. The Q Vision will return on Sunday. You never know what could happen. Breadcrumbs everywhere. But at least we can see straight now, thanks to Q Vision. And I am coming to you from downtown Austin, Texas, where we make guns out of plastic and like it, printing them up in the 5x9 Cludio in the common law condo. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where we advise don't make a plastic gun, and if you do, don't shoot it. I'm John C. Dvorak.
Until Sunday, we remind you to support us at Dvorak.org/NA. Until then, adios, mofos! Can I get a cab today?
I quit the cab getting business. But for one more time, I'll do it. Because I have the whistle. Hey!
Build a cyber wall. Build wall. Build wall. Cyber
Gotta chase those algos. They're everything that we need to know about you, so that we can bring you deals.
Shadow banning on their site, or it's also called shadow banning.
They got caught in Twitter's troll trap.
Shadow ban, shadow ban, shadow ban, shadow ban, de-shadow ban, shadow ban.
But I think I'm shadow banned from myself.
Shadow ban, shadow ban, shadow ban, shadow ban, de-shadow ban, shadow ban.
We didn't. We do not shadow ban.
Whatever, because they're shadow banning you, so they're not letting your tweets go anywhere. And
more likely one is that I've been shadow banned on Twitter. I'm shadow banning you.
Oh, yeah.
On the chat.
And even if it's just a brief moment to really connect. So thank you.
Yeah, it was specifically about shadow banning.
The best podcast in the universe.
Adios, mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA. It's a terrorist's dream, a hijacker's dream. Somebody who wants to hurt you can make their own gun.